PASSIONFRUIT versus Extreme Slayers, and I believe it's just 6-less up for PASSIONFRUIT. You can see him going for the res, but here comes the push from Brady.
Yeah, Extreme Slayers is killing it right now. Frady up to 4 eliminations, total of 5. They're about to get 2 more here. It's pretty much done. Yep.
See ya.
And Hyper drove in thinking it was clear. Like, they drove in together as a team, willing to take a fight, but they still ended up losing it. Fresh gets 1. He's got 2 more to contend with, though. Is he able to do it? Some third-party fire, tagging up the players from MEZEXIS a little bit. Shimmy's back and forth. EBS not connecting, hitting the wall. That one hits, and so does the next few pumps. Fresh.
Bold decides to go all the way up, and takes a huge advantage with a nice opening nade.
I like this aggression. And Hyper taking some risks here when they need to. Now they need to play together as a team. Kindness just one-man army. Gets 1, 2 openings and going for the full wipe. Gets the 3rd. Kindness.
Beautiful. Where are they? Where are they? Killjoy doing it all. He said, I'm gonna do it by myself. I got this. Uh-oh, it's not looking good. Oh, it is looking good. Never mind. He said, I can do this by myself. Don't worry, boys. Easy point. The trap from Casper. DBS. Bob. Oh, and he got him. I thought he didn't for a second, but he sure did. He's gonna go real quick.
Party.
Gets the finish. Oh, third party coming? Casper. Yeah. Can he do it again? Yes, sir. Casper. Back to back. Jump shot. Goodbye. Keep going. Keep going. Go. Oh,
he almost got that one.
One more. Casper. 7 shots left in this DBS. Trying to find the angle. Did get his elimination. Stolen. Let's see how he does it. Goes for the reload. Does get it. 1v2.
There's a 4th party going on in the back lines. That's why Puppeteers isn't all here. And Casper's gonna keep going.
Casper!
Fight or fly, we will stay. Through the perils we dare not to stray. Spark the match, light the flame. Look out of sight, dangerous dynamite. Dynamite! Setting fire to the ground.
A nice pre-fire should catch Kindness. Passes on Kindness. Says, I'm taking out you first, and then you later, baby. Let's go. I'm gonna be surprised if we see execute try to, take out this side of the map a little early on, but they're staying completely away. K19.
Still got one up. The DBS.
It's out. Oh my gosh.
Walking right into the DBS. The 1v2 right now, Hot Jukes.
Alf, it's your time.
No.
Can you do this? He gets another. One more. The DBS under. Where are your shots?
Hello everyone, welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Pro League North America Fall 2023 season. As we already had 1 week completed in our first day of week 2, but it's time to find out who's going to be crowned supreme here on day 2. And speaking of crowns, certain team in particular needs to step things up. Maybe they should get themselves a Monster Energy drink to get the beast unleashed and get themselves finally some points here on the board. But we'll dive into that in a little bit of time, as I am your host, Jason Kaplan, and I cannot do this show alone. I got to bring in my main man. Well, I can't say that. I don't know. Someone might get a little mad at me. We got Uneven joining me here on the show, breaking things down yet again. And Uneven, yesterday, man, things were wonky yesterday. I think that's like the safest thing to say.
Yep, a lot of inconsistency, a lot of different teams showing up. Yeah, wonky is definitely a good way to put it.
Yeah, it was interesting nonetheless. Actually, we'll just dive straight into our overalls to give you guys an idea of what we mean necessarily. Now, there was some semblance of normality seen and Hyper at the very top as they got themselves 2 chicken dinners on the day, and of course seen Extreme Slayers towards the top as well. But things got a little bit rough the lower down we looked here on the leaderboards.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, I do like seeing those 2 top dogs up there continuing to show their consistency and, keep their top spots, keeping it competitive. But yeah, then you also get to see Execute stepping it up, which personally I do like to see. I think, you know, they've got a bit of history, they've got experience. They should be putting up these numbers more consistently. They hit that 10 point per game average, so love to see that. And Butterfly Effect, you know, a couple dark horses, couple quiet teams showing up, you know, getting my predictions right. So
yeah, I was gonna say, talk them up a little bit more, man. That was the only prediction you got right going for them, as they got the chicken dinner in 28 points in total. But I mean, what you see, PASSIONFRUIT up here with SIXLESS not even playing on the first day, so they're able to at least get a front page finish. MEZEXIS as well, as we saw Inactive really come into his own here yesterday. His first day of actually playing here in PMPL with this team. But what about the second page? I mean, obviously Execute getting third place here is fantastic at 41 points, but looking on the list, you know, 412 Nomads. I believe they had 4 fourth place finishes and only got 20 points. They had 4 eliminations. Like, we talked about placements to eliminations ratios, and this ratio is a little bit wonky here.
yeah, I mean, especially with this the current system that we have that favors eliminations so heavily, right? Only 10 points per win in terms of placement. So you really do need to be putting out higher elimination points, because 4 per day is not, like, there's just no hope of doing anything with those kinds of numbers, at least in this current iteration of how they distribute points.
Yeah, I mean, look at them, right? They have 4 eliminations. Everyone else around them has 8 or more. So they have half the eliminations of every other team around them. And yet they're still up in 10th place. They're still beating out teams who have 12 eliminations, 15 eliminations. But, you know, for them, we'll see if they can carry things through to kind of get more limbs today to match up with their placements. But one team we're not seeing here uneven. Not back to us. There's still a second page to show. Thank you, Mr. Producer Andre, man. YKG, 9 points.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the standout focus of yesterday. This is an absolutely terrible performance. You know, over a couple games where you drop out and get 0 points, 1 points, that'll happen. But a top 3 team getting 9 points in an entire day and dropping to 17th, you know, below even the top 16 that they need to be hitting for qualify to finals, you can't be saying this. This is an absolute, you know, flop for them, and they need to really reassess for today and get over that mental hump that they're in.
I mean, I do want to say, like, I'll give a team one bad day. You know, it happens. You know, sometimes, like, Mars and Venus aren't aligned properly, and you just have a really bad day. It comes down to today, right? Like, if they can bounce back and really show them being a championship caliber team, a team that can go into regionals and contest against the likes of, you know, Alpha 7, Influence, Kemen, like a lot of teams are going to be even more difficult than what we have in this lobby. But Excuse, unfortunately, down there at the very bottom at 2 points. At least they came from eliminations, but we need to see more out of that team as well. But it was a very interesting day one. Kindness, as we saw, like, in our top 5 plays, I feel like he deserves, like, all 5 slots with the amount of plays we saw him pull off throughout the entire event so far. I mean, yesterday as well, the position on, I believe, was our first Erangel where we were in Military Island playing around the playing graveyard. He was able to, I would say, almost basically win the game up against Extreme Slayers almost by himself.
Yeah, and, you know, talking about Extreme Slayers, you know, I think they had a really interesting game in that game in particular. So, you know, I've been wanting to do a little breakdown, kind of show how a pro analyzes games and how I look at the macro movements and the faults and the, you know, good things that they did. So I was gonna do a little breakdown right now, and here's the first screenshot. Yeah, so basically, this is a military circle, right? The infamous. You don't like to see this when you're a professional player, especially when your drop spot is on these edge extremities like YS and Extreme Slayers, who dropped South George and Hospital. And basically, they saw this circle and they told themselves, okay, we're going to play this slow. They made the correct assumption, in my mind, right, that the bridge was going to be cluttered. They won't be able to cross it. We play the blue zone. We play slowly, pick up a couple elimination points on MEZEXIS early, which is good. You want to get those consistent points when you're not sure about the next rotation and being able to live. You definitely do want to have some aggression, pick up those those elimination points, and you know, at least if you get eliminated early, you'll have a couple points under your belt. You can go ahead and go to the next screenshot. But they didn't just sit there and, you know, accept that. They actually scouted the bridge, and, you know, they did make the assumption and start playing slow because you would have thought that the bridge would be cluttered, but it turns out that it wasn't. And so they saw that opportunity, and instead of sitting back and relaxing and playing safe and living in that circle because they were inside circle, they took their opportunity, They crossed early. They took that controlled bridge and hold this really beautiful split that I want to point out. This is a very practiced and common split that I don't see a whole lot in NA, and I want to see more of. And this is what we used to call the 3-1 split, evidently, because it's a 3-1 split. You see those 3 players on the extremities controlling their back. They know that there can definitely still be some lagging players on the bridge. They have that information that probably there's some guys that haven't rotated that are playing even slower than them. So they've got to control that back, and that's what Remix and Frady is doing. You got Hayuya holding that entire southern hemisphere down on that high ground. He's got a great vantage point. He sees everything. He controls their side. And you've got Robert going closer into the zone, getting that information, holding down positions for that next circle. Yeah, and then so go ahead and go to the next screenshot. So this is a great example of a 3-1 split. Then here, the circle shifts away from them, but because of the nice position they held before, they were able to get in onto that north side. They have the information on butterfly effect right there, and they aren't afraid to take that position. Because of all the info and positioning they had before, they go ahead and play aggressive, steal their spot from them, and end up in a really good spot for this next screenshot right here, where they again execute that 3-1 strategy, a little bit more condensed because it's in the late game, so they can't take quite as much ground. But you see the 3 holding back while 1 rotates in and takes the position inside zone, and the 3 are holding the extremities, making sure nobody can flank, making sure NHP, who, you know, there's a player on that north side, maybe looking for a north side flank. You got Canadian Eagles on the south also, maybe potentially being some trouble, but they're controlling that while their 4th player is inside zone and gathering info. And, you know, they played this very difficult zone perfectly up until the very end. And, you know, unfortunately, they did lose the win, which I think is why they're not pushing quite into that first place position. But, you know, they're staying in that top 3. They're very consistently getting high scores, and that's reflected in their points per day average that we see. And they're very consistently hitting that 10 points per game as well. And, you know, that's why they're staying in that top 3 contention. All they need to do now is, once those win opportunities come, they need to seize them. And that's what's going to make the difference between 3rd and 1st place. You know, they're currently in 3rd. You know, they're making little mistakes right there. They choked the win against NHP. And that's why NHP is just staying a couple points ahead of them, 10, 15 points ahead of them. They're closing out those end games. That was their only mistake in that game.
So I think what you're saying is we're seeing just a lot of consistency on the way that they're able to like rotate into zones, put themselves in positions to be in the optimal spots for zones, because they had 2 second place finishes and a 3rd place finish yesterday, and then I think it was like a 14th in their final game of the day. They're really hitting their stride in consistency, and we'll actually take a look at their points per game as well, or points per day, I should say, over the last 6 days. So 5 days from week 1, and then of course yesterday. And they do have some hit or misses, like day 4, as you can see here, day 3, day 5. But I mean, 62 points on day 2. I mean, 40 points on day 1 and day 6. I think they're just proving to be an extremely strong team. And honestly, one of the teams who have really took this time off from spring to fall and practiced and focused, because they are putting on such a better performance than last season.
Yeah, you really do want to see those 10 points per game, right? They get about 4 games a day, right? And so when they're hitting that 40-point mark, which they're doing most of the time, they're hitting exactly the days that you want to be hitting when you're like trying to be consistent, but you're not quite getting those win opportunities. Then day 2, perhaps they got a couple chicken dinners, they boost those points up, and those are the days that are going to get you into 1st place. But, you know, they're not closing out their games, and that's why they're still hovering around this 40-point range. They're hovering in that 3rd place position. So I want to see them close out a couple more games, get a couple more day 2s in there, and push them into 1st place.
To be fair, though, for day 2, right, they did have 3 chicken dinners on that day. Like, it was YKG on day 1, there was Extreme Players on day 2. 30 of their 62 points came from just placement points alone. Yeah. But they're still proving to be a formidable team. Like, I think in terms of, like, eliminations, being able to, like, CQB or CQC. I don't know why I had to think that out. To just fight people up close and personal and be able to fight people from range as well. And obviously, Remix is proving to be a star within the team. But we have to turn our attention towards another team. Unfortunately, we're talking about one doing well towards the top. We got to talk about a team not doing well who was in week 1. Of course, it's got to be YKG. So take a look at their stats from week 1 here up against their stats from week 2. And this is just to really emphasize the fall off out of this team. I mean, they're doing like a third of their damage, almost a fourth of their damage per game at the moment. They're doing almost like a fourth of their eliminations. Like they're really struggling, and I don't think we can necessarily focus into why, other than maybe just an off day.
I mean, yeah, there's a bit too many mistakes to really understand without, you know, being in there behind the scenes. You know, the bad part is that also you're talking about an entire week versus right here we just have one day, right? The less games you play, in theory, the more boosted your stats should be. Over the long run is when they tend to get more accurate. But, you know, as you said, this could be an exception. This could be a skew in the graph in the negative direction. They're playing particularly worse than usual. We'll have to see them pack up. I don't like seeing a game like this from a top 3 contender.
Yeah. I mean, I think in what we're trying to show with that stats is like they played really consistent for an entire week. Then they have a drop-off day. Now it's up to them to bounce back and kind of give us those averages they were able to get within that first week, which they obviously can do. And we're obviously going to find out today.
For sure.
Maybe it has to do with group switching. Who knows? I'm not going to try to make any assumptions other than that the schedule is going to be coming up next to show you what is the Battleground order and when we're going to be getting to, and of course, what groups will be playing in which one of these Battlegrounds. So like always, it's going to be Group A playing out every single match until the final match. We're starting things off with Erangel, Miramar, Sanhok, Erangel, and Vikendi. So getting our double Erangels in, of course, like always. Sanhok in the middle, and anything's off on Vikendi. That makes me happy.
No, I love Vikendi too, yeah. It's my favorite map, so ending off with a bang. Can't wait to see that one.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, that might be the wrong actual map order, because if I'm not mistaken, it's day 2, so it should be Miramar first, with Sanhok, Erangel, Vikendi, Erangel. So don't take that necessarily as correct. Okay. I could be wrong. I don't know. Group B is going to be sitting out. That's one thing I do know. So no PASSIONFRUIT here today. And as we saw, no Sixless today because he's going to be doing a viewer party. So,
yep, we'll he's choosing to back out yet again. Who knows why? I do.
You know, I mean, you're friends with him.
I do, yeah.
Why can't give us a little bit of info?
Well, you know,
Whoa, you're not going to find out that info because the game's coming up here right now. I'm going to save you here on this one. Send over to Hotjux Zute to kick off our first match of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you so much, Uneven. It's good to see that uneven breakdown there on Extreme Slayers. And you know what? We're about to break this day down. Starting off, of course, in Miramar. Let's get it going. Zute, you know, yesterday's games were a little wild, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I think we had some lackluster performances. You know, we saw a couple crazy plays here and there. How do you think we're going to start off today?
Today, there's 2 main things I'm looking out for. One, the big, you know, obvious thing is YKG. YKG had a extremely terrible day yesterday, and it was their worst performance by far. In week 1, every day they seemed unstoppable. Yesterday, almost nowhere to be seen, right? Number 2 is Execute. Execute actually, you know, finishing at the top of the leaderboards after, you know, just that one day yesterday since we had a little bit of a reset. I want to see if this Execute team could keep that consistency, so to say, and carry it through the rest of today and the rest of the week, and hopefully we end up seeing them in a top 3 position by the end of the week. But that does require, you know, YKG to not show up. It requires, you know, Extreme Slayers, and so there's a lot of factors in here, but definitely Execute, one of the teams that we've always been saying, you know, since week 1 that they could do better than how they're doing. And yesterday we saw a little bit of that.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of it. One thing I want to see from Execute, though, is their ability to finish fights. You know what I'm saying? I think there's definitely some times where they had the chicken dinner in the bag, but just, you know, did a little bit too much and got caught slacking. So hopefully we could see them get that consistency that we were hoping for. And honestly, I think of one player in particular that's really shown up for Execute is Trick, right?
Yeah,
a huge addition for their squad, and I think he has definitely been a massive difference maker overall.
And I'm thinking back to yesterday, and unless if I'm wrong, Jukes, like I'll say what happened too, so maybe you can help jog my memory a little bit better too.
Sure.
But I think 3 of their 4 games yesterday were second place finishes. Okay, yesterday they had the Vikendi one. That was yesterday, right? That wasn't like
the Erangel, as well.
The Erangel one, and then their last game on Vikendi, it was N-Hyper versus... No, they had 3rd place finish there. But it was N-Hyper, Execute at the very end. And Execute, I remember saying they had 4, and they could slam the compound and take the fight to Hyper. But by the time the camera went back to them, they were down to 2. And it was the last player of Puppeteers, I think, that ended up 2nd place there. So that's 3 games in a row where they had a potential closeout chicken dinner. First game, it definitely should have been theirs. They had, 2 people slip off the edge of the map on Vikendi. Their second place finish was the Erangel one, where it was a straight up 4v4. Could have gone either way.
Yeah.
But we pointed out their execution could have been a little bit cleaner to better their chances of closing it out and taking the win. And then obviously the very last game, Vikendi, they had 4 up. Camera went elsewhere because all the action was elsewhere. By the time it went back to them, they had 2. They didn't slam the compound for the game-winning play, of taking out Hyper. Instead, they tried to, slowly work their way in the zone and got cut down. So that's 3 huge games that could have, boosted up their points by a lot more. So I don't know if they'll get as much opportunity today, but it just goes to show, like, it's there for execute and... excuse the pun, but their lack of execution at the very end is costing them a lot of those huge points in the form of chicken dinners.
Yeah, I gotta agree 100%. Hopefully we can see them, make some of these adjustments here today. It's always good to see a new day. You could see some teams definitely maybe done their homework, start making some adjustments, and overall just start improving. So, execute definitely a team I got my eyes on. Like you mentioned earlier, YKG is a big happenstance. And, just continue to see improvement from Hyper, right? Because Hyper, for those of you guys that possibly are just tuning in, for the first time this fall split, they have always been such a great passive tactical squad and have lacked that aggression. Well, this fall split, we're starting to see some signs of aggression for sure in a major way. They're taking more risks, they're making more plays, and they're looking more decisive too, right? When the play calls for, a push, we're not seeing hesitation as much. We're still seeing it. I will say that, right? We're still seeing it. There's definitely some moments where you can kind of see them question themselves a little bit, but I think overall we're seeing improvements, and I kind of want to see that just get more rock solid here as each day goes on.
Yeah, the key word you used there that you pointed out to me yesterday was decisiveness, right? I was saying they just look much more aggressive, but they're more decisive because they will make those aggressive plays, and then midway through, it's like they don't stall as much as before. It's like if we're going aggressive, we're going aggressive. We're not going to, see if we could get aggressive by going a little bit closer and seeing if we could do something a little bit more. It's just, okay, we're going for the aggressive play. You just push up. Trust that I will get the knock when I'm covering you or whatever the case might be. And it's that decisiveness that's the biggest factor for me that's making their aggression better.
Yep. It's 100% to do with their disparity, right? The disparity between their energy. That's right, yeah. So, good to see them now just making those decisions, full committing to those pushes. Because you're right, before it's like they'll go in and be like, okay, maybe we'll get a knock. And then if we get a knock, then we'll push. Oh,
yeah,
back off. Now they're just like,
often.
oh, you know what? We're either gonna win this fight and win the game, or we're out right here. And you know what? The top teams in the world, that's what they do, right? They'll full send it on down. They'll get 3 players knocked, but still win the fight and then get everybody up afterwards. And those are some core plays I want to see from them as we see Wall Street Bets, Ji-Woon get taken out early. Wall Street Bets now have Slimmy on the team, the Slim Bot. And that is one of my favorite players in the game here in North America. I want to see him continue to thrive here. So hopefully we'll see as Clown does get that buggy shot up, but it looks like he will make it away.
Loses 2 wheels, buggy's burning, still makes it out. That was risky. They got it. They got the a quick drive by, and that player from Wall Street Bets just crawling around the side of the vehicles stole just long enough for the player that was finishing off, Clown, to potentially get thirsted himself. So every little thing counts. Just like stalling for time, even if you're knocked, could end up being a point conversion for your team.
100%, 100%. Meanwhile, speaking of point conversions, look at Hyper, right? Big chill in dead center of the map. Nothing too unusual there. And we're starting to see some teams try to rotate to the circle. This is definitely a different, Miramar circle that we've seen normally,
Yeah, we haven't
right?
had
On
this
the
one yet.
Yeah, we haven't had this one yet. We've had a lot of southern circles, I will say that. I think it's about time it
South,
goes up to the north.
southeast.
Yeah, but, you know, now it's actually going a little bit to the west side, so I wonder if we might even get a Valle del Mar bridge finish. Imagine that.
Oh, you're always asking for the wildest things, Jukes.
I wanna see
I just want to see the circle in around where it's at right now, like the center of the zone, because it offers a lot of dynamic fights. There's a lot of high ground involved, and then the low ground is all compounds. So even 50-50 teams could play either or and stay alive as 4. So that's what I want to see. Please don't just shift back to the east. And okay, Jukes.
All
asked
right,
for it.
baby. Let's go.
Oh, look at
Valle
Ren.
Del Mar. By the way, for all you guys watching, that mountainside you see all the way to the left of the map, that's completely unplayable. You cannot get on. You cannot get on top there on that edge. So you can see that road that's there. That's playable. Some of that high ground is okay, but it's going to definitely make things interesting here when it comes to this side of the map. So I wonder what teams are going to full send it underneath that bridge.
Yeah, that's a wild rotation for a lot of teams to make, especially the BOPE all the way in the blue on the eastern side of the map. And when I say eastern side, I mean they're literally touching water. One of their players on the east side of the map. So that's a lot of travel distance that needs to be covered. And teams are already just gunning it down to this area. YKG, they're on the northern edge. I wonder if they're going to try and rotate in a little bit more, because every single team knows this is a hard shift.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you could take huge advantage by filling in on the west side of that hard shift if you're willing to go for it.
I wonder if we're going to see a team go down south, right, through Los Higos Bridge and try to rotate.
Oh, that'd be very
that way.
smart.
Yeah, that'd be a huge play. Canadian Eagles don't opt for it. I think that's kind of a little bit of a misplay. Maybe we might see Polar Ace go for it because it's a really safe rotation and they'll have a pretty good sightlines on the map. Meanwhile, we're making the player rotation sacrifice. That's what I call it. When you have a hard shift like this, sometimes it's difficult to keep all players up, and sometimes you have to sacrifice a couple on the way. You can see Puppeteers not trying to make any sacrifices. They did get one player knocked. But now with the new mechanic, Zute, of being able to pick up players and throw them in your vehicle, right? I wonder if we're going to just see that be the standard in competitive, because it's a crazy mechanic to add to the game.
Yeah, no longer you have to go for a revive where your player got knocked, right? You could drive up to them, and instead of sticking the revive and praying you don't get naded, you just toss them in the back of your car and just drive back where you came from. Like, honestly, it's a pretty big game changer. And we saw that happen yesterday. And it was very well done, because if he stuck that revive, you know that nade was coming in.
Imagine, I mean, I think vehicles are now going to are becoming that much more important too. Because imagine, you're in, obviously if you're in the blue zone and a player gets knocked, pop them in the vehicle real quick, drive away. Or even if you're in a late game fight, you can maybe pop in a vehicle and then move over and try to get a safer revive. So it's very, very interesting. I was freaking out when I saw it, and I totally forgot that they added that into the game. And I can't wait to see just how utilized it will be here in competitive, because anytime the game makes changes, comp is where we see it used to the best of its ability.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, that was Kindness picking up the point for NHyper.
Of course.
It's like personally for me, I got to start paying more attention to Kindness, because, I mean, we call his name out constantly, right? At the end of the match when we see his stats. But now I'm really going to zoom in on Kindness, and it's like every time NHyper gets their first point, is it Kindness that gets it? And, well, it just so happens to be, yes, it is Kindness. He's popping off. Ace of Spades. Mumbai with the 1 HP knock, the clutch, but Wasted gets him in the back, and the rest of Ace of Spades nowhere close by. I mean, it's the rotations. It's too wild right now with this circle.
Too wild indeed, and ILY tries to go and get this crazy 1v1, but he also doesn't realize that Canadian Eagles are right there waiting to eat, and they do get some nice points on the board for themselves. So there's only one player up from Ace of Spades. He's going to go ahead and try to get something done. Some nice points there for the Canadian Eagles. They're going to be leading the lobby right now with 4. But they got to get moving, though. They got to get moving. They're still pretty far outside of the circle, and a lot of the main checkpoints here in this zone have already been taken.
Yeah, the circle did shift back up north, so we are pulling away from the south side that was, kind of in zone, that other island, not the main island. So it's just pretty much centered up on the previous zone, and so many teams struggling to find a way in right now. You can see in the elimination feed on the right side, Skills of Mine out, BULUC CHABTAN out, Ace of Spades down to 1, and so many more going down in the elimination feed.
So many more going down indeed, and Hyper finding themselves some high ground as is tradition. Looking to put some points on the board and continue that dominance that we've seen so far. YKG is in this match, so that is definitely a team that I got my eye on to have some success here because, like we mentioned earlier, I mean, they really had a rough day yesterday, so let's see if they have a bounce back. Canadian Eagles, yeah, making the push right here onto Speedfire. This is right at the south side of that zone. And definitely a huge spot to take. So I do like the fact that we're seeing Canadian Eagles making it a full push. And Speedfire, 2 split up. They just getting taken advantage of here.
Yeah, I love that. One person crashed in and realized it was occupied, and the rest of the team, what do they do? Instead of running off because it's occupied, they all came to help, and now they lock this position down, pick up another point, and more importantly, they relieve some pressure in their close proximity by taking out that player. So next rotation, they got one less player to worry about.
100%. You can see Quinn's getting ready here, protecting those vehicles. Definitely have to in this situation. And let's take a look at the map. Where is the zone going to go? Is it going to head hard shift south once again? Center up? Let's find out. Okay, all right. It's going to go ahead and be on these roadsides. It's pretty dangerous. I mean, Excuse is in a really good spot because they have a lot of high ground, a lot of elevation and sight lines. This is the time. This is one of those circles where you have to just stand up and shoot at everything. You don't want any team coming close to you, especially 4-1-2. You want to keep them right where they're at. Meanwhile, look at there on the bottom right of the map. You see an Hyper looking to get into it with both Extreme Slayers and Wall Street Bets. It's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, those are 2 squads with high gun power, so getting into a fight with them might result in some casualties. So Hyper definitely have to be crazy, and Extreme Slayers somehow getting in front of Hyper. Typically we see Hyper, do more of a split, so they would have at least one person at the compound, but no one at the compound does concede a lot over to the side of Extreme Slayers. And what's worse is now they're sandwiched. They don't have a firm foothold to fight off either side, to isolate it. So in Hyper, they've got a lot of work to do now, especially with Wall Street Bets coming in.
That's tough. How are they going to handle it, though? Let's see. Koi on the off angle, as usual. Kindness getting caught out. That's going to hurt. And let's see how Hyper handles it, right? Do they decide to go passive and just try to survive? Or are they going to try to make a play here and turn things around? Koi on the off angle looks like that's exactly what he's doing to do. He does miss the shots. GK first wins a huge 1v1 though, and that evens the fight. Actually, Killjoy going down. Now Hyper turning the fight around just like that. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, Extreme Slayers trying to take advantage of it. They hear the commotion. Now they're coming down. They're going to come down onto one of the Wall Street Bets player. We'll see how this player handles himself as he does get the initial knock. Can he get the 1 for 2? He does not. Remix clutching that one up, and that was a crucial one. He's going to be able to reset his whole team and chase down the rest of Hyper. This is the very first time, Jukes, that I've seen Hyper not play a split correctly. Usually they have defense positions locked down. They can at least play in a way where they isolate one squad in a firm position, but that time they just set themselves up to be completely crunched in with no control whatsoever. That's very Hyper-like.
I will say that I think that has a little bit to do with just lack of map awareness on this particular side of the map. It's not that common of a zone, so I think they... I think they obviously know this map really well, but sometimes you just kind of get caught in spots that you're not 100% as comfortable with, and I don't think they really expected 2 squads right on. What do you think about that?
I mean, you're not wrong. This is, an area of the map that's less popular, but Hyper was up on that mountaintop the previous zone. They should have a very good idea of what would happen next if teams were to push into them, which was very likely too. So it was just... I don't know, complete oversight from Hyper. Like, I can't even think of what strat they had not playing a little bit more spread out up there. So it's a mistake in my eyes, but we'll see how the rest of the game plays out. Koi is still up. I don't think he's going to get much further. YKG, that's a big team I'm looking at now, as they still have 3-4 players up, taking a look at the list of players right there. I believe it's YKG with 4. Yeah, they're fighting Extreme Slayers right now. They get a pick already on that eastern side.
Wow.
And YKG, they're going to look to close this fight out.
Yes, they are. Full commitment right here, especially with this next zone. And whichever team wins this fight are going to have full control of this position. 24K.
24K.
Oh, barely alive.
Get the
man.
tap on.
Yeah, they're not gonna pick him up. They're just gonna go ahead and give up
That
that
was so close.
that player. And another nade onto YKG. That's gonna hurt. Joey gonna have to make a play on the up close because it's a jet way far back in that
Oh my god.
in that smoke. Wow, getting beamed through it. That's gotta hurt.
Oh, the suppressive fire. They're just making sure the back can't help Joey out. And now, see, after all those shots, they're going to try and isolate Joey. And now Remix is allowed to peek over the top a bit more confidently for that nade. And Robert gets it done. Man, YKG just constantly being put on the back foot.
Put on the back foot again. Let's see how they're gonna end up playing this though. As Extreme Slayers are alive and well. It's just Isajet. Last one up. One elimination, just not the start they were looking for.
That was a decisive fight right there. If they somehow won that Extreme Slayers fight, I'm gonna throw them up in the top 3 finish, just like that. But if you lose that one decisive fight, it's the difference between 1 and maybe like 14 points.
Oof. Well, let's see how they're gonna end up playing the rest of this one. Meanwhile, let's take a look at Excuse going up against 4-1-2. Nomads. 4-2 Nomads playing it very, very careful right now. Just trying to be some sneaky little snakes. But Excuse definitely has their number. Okay, all right, that nade. Oh, that was a little bit close. Yeah, Matt just said, nope, no thank you. I don't want none of that.
Yep. It's smart for Matt to move back. You know, his second one is coming in immediately after that. It goes to show, though, just a little small experience difference makes a huge, change in an outcome of a fight. Because if that player that threw the nade, had more grenade throwing experience and cooked it just right, that's the opening right there for 4-1-2 that might lead them to push.
Need them to push indeed. But you know what? There's some questions that we have, Zute, and predictions that are on the board. So the question is, who will get the most eliminations? Extreme Slayers looking to put some big points on the board with 10 so far. That's going to be hard to beat.
Ooh, yeah. Extreme Slayers with 10 already. Looking really strong. Canadian Eagles still alive here down in the south side. Filling up points themselves. And if anyone could pass up Extreme Slayers, it would be Canadian Eagles down here because they already have 6. They do have to gatekeep this team out. They're doing a good job of it. They have all the advantages in the world. And did they just pick up 3 with wiping up that team? From 6 up to 8. So good little jump in points. Canadian Eagles, they may be on the low ground, but if you could be the last team alive on the low ground on a certain side, I mean, you still get a lot of control and you can make your way in.
Well, let's see who's going to have the most control in this next zone. Most likely Super Lazy Reflex. They're dead center right now. Dog! Looking to make some plays against Butterfly Effect. Yeah, Butterfly Effect are done for. They're toast. Yep, in this has a tough building to hold. And it looks like Puppeteers, yeah, through the window, was able to take them out. So, meanwhile, we got the rest of Puppeteers. 1 elimination so far. Wow, nice suppressive fire there out to Remix. And they're making themselves known. They're making themselves known, but it's in a tough spot because they are not in this next circle. Excuse making a nice push onto the Nomads and taking them out bit by bit. Wow, that one hurt, though. That nade did sting a little bit. Rosh cleaning things up, putting some more points on the board. That's 2 eliminations so far.
If only 4-1-2 Nomads, that first nade that we saw that one player throw like minutes earlier, if that connected, if he cooked it correctly, they could have won that fight uphill and been a totally different game. So it's really the small things that could change a huge outcome in terms of how far you get into the match, how many points you rack up. Koi's still alive, snaking it in, center of zone, playing very, very quiet right here.
Wow.
And look how many are still up. Still 9 teams. So those placement points don't come easy.
Nope, they don't. If you go out right now, I think it's a goose egg. 0 placement points. That is insane. Meanwhile, Hayuya getting a nice knock there onto Reckless as he tried to make the rotation into that check. That's why I was kind of surprised that we saw them taking shots in this direction, because all you're doing is just giving people more info and letting you know, hey, we're out of circle. Why don't you shoot at us when we come on in? So
Ooh.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
shoot at them, they did.
I think Extreme Slayers picked up all of those. Stellar, I think, stole one away, but Extreme Slayers up to 13 elims already, looking very strong. Excuse chasing down the rest of the 4-1-2 Nomads, and that's Nomads out unevens prediction cut off.
Well, question is, which team will win the match? And it looks like I picked Extreme Slayers, which XQS is short for, apparently. So let's see if our pick, Sute, is going to work out here.
We'll see. We'll see. That buggy really hugging that building right there. Wheels stuck through the wall. Canadian Eagles, this is the underdog dark horse team for this match, in my opinion. They've been doing a really good job, up to 8 eliminations, still keeping 3 up. And yes, they are on the low ground, but there's like almost nobody on this side of the map. So they could push up to the high ground ever so slowly. It all comes down to how the zone works out for them.
100%. You can see Canadian Eagles just trying to buy some time right now. This is that planning phase. They have 43 seconds left on the clock. They're holding this southern edge, but most likely the zone centers up. So if they're going to go ahead and do that, if that zone does go away, I think they have to push north. They have to push into Extreme Slayers. That seems to be the only method, because going downhill right now, you are just wide open for the take. And look at this valley here. There's a reason why we see every single team playing edge for the most part, except for SLR, who is has some pretty solid buildings to themselves. Oh, Hayuya.
This should
About to
be
get
a
caught.
3-2-1.
He's waiting.
Oh,
Oh, Blinky, the patience.
Oh, he's the last one up. That's why. That's why there's no 3-2-1 fire. It's just Blinky. So I respect that, playing it very quiet. He doesn't want to make the same mistake that Puppeteers made, right? Draw too much attention to himself by shooting. He might try and find a way to sneak in. But he sees this circle shift now, realizes that's a slim chance. He'll probably take the shots now if the opportunity presents itself.
Well, let's see if he ends up taking him after all. But I think that is the play. You know, if you don't have the 100% sure knock, you just don't want to give up your position just yet. Meanwhile, SLR
What is
running
that
on in.
pull-up?
What? There's no way. That's just Koi. Yeah, okay, it is. It's Excuse. Excuse catching SLR on the drive up, absolutely punishing him. And Koi could have stolen some of those eliminations, but they were gone way too quick. Oh,
What is
Hayuya
that?
with the
What's
nade?
that pull-up? I'm so
Hello.
confused. Koi dodges that nade, but yeah, that pull-up was terrible. They stopped out in the open. Did the vehicle run out of gas at that exact moment?
Let him know.
Yeah, SLR, they had 4 up. There was 1 player defending center zone. If SLR just full sent it with 4, they take that spot, and they could win the match. But, man, it's just messy plays all around from what I've seen here.
Meanwhile, Excuse getting shot up, and I believe that could be by Blinky right behind him. He did end up taking those shots, but gets caught by Hayuya from Extreme Slayers. 14 eliminations for Extreme Slayers. We asked, where were they yesterday, right? Here they are, starting off today with an insane amount of eliminations. Excuse starting to rack some up as well. They have 7. Canadian Eagles with 8. A great point spread among teams that are not in the top 3. Oh, except for Extreme.
Canadian Eagles still alive with 3. If they could get an opening knock onto Extreme Slayers and take that side of the map, this could be Canadian Eagles' win. Up to 10 eliminations. Canadian Eagles are keeping it up against Extreme Slayers in terms of, confirmed points. They're neck and neck right now.
Where's this next zone going to go? Is it going to center up? Pretty much regardless of where it goes, this last remaining member of SLR is in big trouble, so he's pretty much done for it, unless the zone goes to him. Koi has been big chilling in this shack and racking up these placement points little by little.
Yep.
I'm surprised not one player has even attempted to take it at this point. It is risky, though. It's wide out in the open, so I think that's why he is just getting so much support from all the teams surrounding him.
Yeah, it's tough to get to. It's on like the middle ridge. You'd have to drive past the compound and then up a hill, and then you don't know what's in there. SLR tried, but they fluffed it up really bad. So Koi's going to keep staying alive. He's going to get top 4 at the very least. SLR about to go out. New zone did shift. Every team is pretty much in this zone besides SLR now.
Yeah, XEZ, goodbye. It was a pleasure. He pulls out of smoke just for LOLs at this point, because the jukes are not going to be hot enough to survive this onslaught of shots. Yeah, Chronix just spraying through the smoke. Easy point for him. 4 teams remaining. Who's going to win this game? It's close. Excuse has the man advantage, but you got Extreme Slayers who are absolutely dominating. And honestly, I think position-wise, Canadian Eagles are in a really good spot here.
Canadian Eagles have the opportunity to wrap to the high ground and take an isolated fight, right? Because if they wrap to start a fight with Extreme Slayers and Excuse pushes in, Excuse is also pushing into Extreme Slayers. Unless if Excuse also does a wrap, which, you know, unlikely because you just don't usually see, you know, the IGL have the wherewithal to follow an opposing team's wrap. But we'll see what happens. If anything, it's going to come down to the next circle, which will be no circle, Jukes.
Oh,
it's
that's
gonna be
right.
the final one. And the center zone, I think that's on Koi.
Oh, yeah. Koi could be in a good spot here. Just holding that one position. No one's thrown a nade in there yet. I'm surprised. Because you could definitely throw one through that roof. Remix.
Oh, Koi
goes
goes down.
Koi gets
Quinn.
caught by the molly. So, yeah, I was about to say, finally,
Nice one.
a player throws one in there. Beautiful spread. And Canadian Eagles, now it's a top 3 situation. Canadian Eagles with 11 so far.
Ooh,
This is
Quinn.
insane.
Oh,
Are you?
he
Yeah.
gets caught.
Oh,
Yeah.
Catchy Quinn, that's brutal. Drago and Baby Tank, it's really up to them. But they have
Oh,
the
the
low
nades.
ground, and Remix is making it rain on them.
Remix up to 5, looking for 6.
Oh my
and
goodness.
he gets one. He's got to be careful. Excuse is starting to make noise, but Chronix is knocked, so that's going to slow down Excuse a little bit too. Remix looking for 7.
Remix. Hey,
There's-
Excuse is big chillin' though.
Yeah, there's
Excuse
4
is big
players.
chillin'. Yeah, in the zone, they haven't had to worry at all. Extreme Slayers are pushing out, but Excuse isn't playing it aggressive, so they don't have any sight lines at all.
Yeah, they need to get to that ridge.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't take priority on this ridge at any way. So now Extreme Slayers are here. They got to move up for free. I think Excuse is looking to just kind of hold angles and wait for access to come to them. Matt, yeah, now it's time to throw everything you have.
There we go.
Beautiful nade there onto Robert. And there's going to be the follow-up just a second. Meanwhile, Remix, the legend. It's
Oh,
all
it's
up
done.
to him. Remix, 1v4. There's one.
Go get one.
No, he
doesn't
didn't
even get the one.
Wow. Excuse shutting him down. Regardless, a massive game for Extreme Slayers. I cannot believe it. Beautifully done. I can't believe I didn't pick Excuse. I can't believe it.
I mean, my eyes were on Extreme Slayers as well. They had the high ground. They were looking strong. They took down YKG and Hyper. But it was Excuse at the very end that took the winner chicken dinner. Good job out of the Excuse team. Hopefully
And
this isn't.
eliminations.
Hopefully this isn't like a flash in the pan, as Cameron likes to say.
I love it.
We would like to see more from this Excuse team, and we got a couple more games to do so, but huge games for 3 teams, right? Excuse, Canadian Eagles with so many eliminations, along with the Extreme Slayers. All 3 teams did very well.
Huge, right? I think we saw a real huge sign of life from Canadian Eagles. Extreme Slayers obviously hadn't done so great. And this game here, I mean, what more could you ask for? And, you know, but I think you're right. I want to see Excuse, Canadian Eagles, use a game like this to really rocket launch them, right? Just be like, hey, you know what, guys? We can take on the best teams in North America. Let's get comfortable, start playing our game, and make it happen.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see a boost in confidence for a lot of these teams after that first match. And I personally think, Jukes, that one thing that really stood out to me was Hyper, right? I was calling them out. I think they messed up really bad.
Yeah.
They should have had a way better hold as a 4-man team, but still, even as a solo, they always know how to, you know, ink out as many points as they can, and I think that's what makes them a great team.
Yes, indeed. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back after these highlights.
just ran the numbers, Hot Jukes, and man, if you got that prediction, if you just picked Excuse instead of Extreme Slayers, you would have been ahead of everyone in the prediction game. But you know what? Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. But Excuse take home the victory here off the back of positioning. What was your thoughts on that, Uneven?
Well, I mean, my initial thoughts is sometimes you win some. I haven't experienced that quite yet. I'm not gonna lie. I've been losing them all. 4-12. They had a nice spot on that west side. I saw the potential. I saw the win. They didn't see it. It did not work out at all. They got eliminated very quickly.
Like I said to you when we were watching, I respect the pick. I respect for you going for something a little bit out of the norm. But yeah, it didn't work out. Let's see the match rankings here. It's the points some teams got. Extreme Slayers, even though they didn't win the game, they're going to come out first on points because they put up another 17 eliminations here on Even.
I mean, this is huge. This is exactly what I was talking about. They have really good early to mid-game aggression. They're really good at racking up those elimination points, and they just aren't quite getting that chicken dinner win to really boost them up. I mean, you know, when you get a game like this with 17 points, I'm not upset with this, right?
Yeah, did you ever really lose if you got 17 eliminations and 23 points?
There are definitely scenarios where it stings a little bit more, and this one was not one of them, right? It was quite a hard game to finish off. I would have liked to see a different end game still, though. This was hard, but I want them to have cleaner end games, right? That's what I'm looking for in all these games that I'm watching. It's kind of a trend that I'm seeing, which is why, you know, even though this game was really hard, right? They had 4 versus 3. They didn't have a good position, but if they moved a little bit quicker, they were a little bit more, you know, instantaneous, a little bit more independent, they would have had at least a shot. But
yeah, as we were watching, right, especially when they took out Canadian Eagles, you were saying, like, why are they hesitating? Why are they taking their time now? They cannot get complacent. They got to keep moving, and they seem so rushed. And then you saw Excuse just throwing a couple of nades, some Molotovs, and then that was it. They took home a chicken dinner for themselves, and unfortunate for them. Unfortunate for YKG as well, man. One elimination for this team who got picked off, I think, in the end by Extreme Slayers. Puppeteers as well, only getting 1 point with the 1 elimination. 4-12 Nomads, your pick, only getting the 1 placement point. Yep. It's a tough time for some of these teams, but honestly, that zone isn't really easy to play, especially when it pretty much went there right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, there's huge verticality, very interesting low ground, high ground dynamics. And yeah, it is definitely not an easy zone to play. But again, it's YKG, right? We don't want to they're still in this rut. They're supposed to be a top 3 team. You know, like, ever since I started casting, I haven't been seeing anything. All right. So,
are you the curse? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. All I'm saying is, you know, I want to see some more results. Like, yeah, I'll give a bad day. I'll give a couple bad games, but, you know, this is getting too far for me. The momentum is really halted. So
I'm going to give them like 2 more matches today, and then I'm gonna start to like talk badly about them because I want to, like you, I want to see a bit more out of them. I want to see more consistency out of a team who has been to regionals before, one of the best teams in the region, and they got to really show it here. But let's take a look though at Extreme Slayers, another team that's really risen up through the ranks here in our fall season, and their stats in the last match. And again, man, Remix is he's just nonstop. He is like one of the most consistent players I feel like we've seen here in PMPL Fall.
Yeah, you know, we also saw a good mix of long range and close range in that game. He's shown off his abilities in all sorts of contexts. You know, he is that player that he's been hitting his shots on the car sprays, on those long distance knockouts, and still he'll crash you with a buggy and jump out in front of you. I've seen him do that 3 times now. That seems to be his special move. He just loves ramming them and then jumping out of his buggy and trying to hit that CQC shot, which, you know, personally I'm not a big fan of, but, you know, if he can keep putting up numbers like that,
well,
give it to him.
It works in PMPL NA. Would it work in Americas? Would it work in PMGC? Not as likely,
so.
right?
I don't think so. No, yeah, he's definitely using that mechanical advantage that he has over the rest of the players and really abusing it, which is fine as long as he knows to adapt when he can't be able to pull that off, when the mechanics kind of start catching up.
Yeah. Well, I think they also do run into a problem if they depend on him to be able to pull something like that off to win matches or to get deeper into matches. When you can't do that anymore, what's your backup plan? What's your plan B, your plan C, whatever it might be? But let's take a look really quickly here at our total damage. If we have time, because I can see we're about to head into Sanhok, but I'm not sure if we're about to just dive into this just yet. So I kind of want to see a damage breakdown across the board here for some of these teams. Almost 8,000 damage, 17 limbs, and that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you control that high ground and you take really good positioning on Miramar. They had that whole map available, you know, all that information, all that vision, and they were just farming away. hitting their shots too. You got to hit your shots. So well played to them, both macro and mechanically.
Happy to see Canadian Eagles here, though, man, because we talked about them yesterday, right? They were super quiet, and we saw them on like day 2 and day 3 of last week in phase 1, where they were able to really put up eliminations. They were looking a lot more confident instead of playing for placement. So I'm really happy to see that, but I want to see them continue to do that throughout the rest of the day. As we're going to take a look at our schedule really quickly to get you guys up to date. What battlegrounds will be coming up next? Have you guys read the top right-hand side of your screen, you would have saw that Sanhok's coming up next, followed by Erangel, Vikendi, and Erangel. So not ending things off on Vikendi today uneven. It's going to be Erangel, but it's going to be good nonetheless.
Yeah, it'll have to do.
It'll have to do.
Well,
okay.
at least we'll get a Vikendi game in there. You know, I didn't have Vikendi games towards the end of my career, so I'm glad to see it. I think it's exciting.
Could be Karakin, but instead, let's talk about our casters who will be taking us into our second match of the day with Hot Jukes and Zute.
More like Karakant, bro. Let's get into Sanhok. You know what I'm saying? That's what we've been waiting on. Zoo, are you ready for some fun in the jungle?
Yeah, let's go to the lush and green. We just had a great game on the sandy desert. Now we're flipping it from the biggest map to the smallest map, and from sand barren map down to the green jungles of Sanhok.
Let's get it going, baby. So anytime that we have a Sanhok match, my eyes are locked on Paradise Resort. But, I think we have, a couple teams in particular sitting out in this one. So it could be pretty free for the taking. I wonder which team is going to decide to drop there.
See very soon. Is there going to be a hot drop in Painan? We've seen so many of them. I think it's Wall Street Bets and Excuse that keep going at it right there. And they're going to go for it once again. Excuse with the chicken dinner. That last match, keep that in mind. It might give them, some confidence, some aggression right here onto Wall Street Bets, and the drop is indeed happening. Dropping in Painan.
Wow.
Hot for the nth time in a row. I've lost count by now, and already one of the players going down. I think Excuse has the advantage right now.
Wall Street Bets and Excuse going at it, and guess what, Sute? Not one team had the heads up to realize that both Butterfly Effect and Canadian Eagles were not playing in this lobby. Paradise Resort wide open.
Is the fact that Paradise Resort is wide open, or the fact that everybody knows YKG lands close to Paradise Resort, so they just want to stay away from YKG?
Well, I'll tell you what, with this zone, I think you would have been happy to land in Paradise. So you got to keep an eye on which teams are not playing and which ones are, because when those two squads are out, that's a huge location. I mean, so much loot, so many areas that you can, possibly eject from there. So, I don't know, kind of a misplay, I think, on some of these teams' eyes, especially squads that land in, not as solid locations as others. But to each their own. Meanwhile, we're watching, Excuse, our previous winners, losing a player right off the rip.
Player.
Yeah.
Whoops. I thought it was Excuse getting a player onto Wall Street Bets, but indeed, you're right, Jukes. It's the opposite way around now. Excuse, they're in a tough spot. If they wanted to leave, because they were down a player early on, it's too late for that. I think Ji-Woon will be able to spot it out, and you can see Excuse just holding on right now, holding their defensive positions. And with the circle being so far up to the northeast, Excuse is pretty much committed to taking this fight.
See how they decide to take this fight on, though. Painan is always an interesting one because this is out of the first circle, so they have a tough decision, right? I mean, it's difficult to rotate inwards because you know that almost every single checkpoint is taken up on the way into this next zone. But, if you are Excuse... Okay, throw in a little... Very interesting. Very interesting. I'll just leave it at that. Very interesting.
It's confidence, Jukes.
Confidence, that's right.
Yeah.
Emoting on us.
He's ready for the fight. He's going to emote in preparation for the fight. And it looks like they're backing off now, actually. And I'm surprised that...
like a little scared emote, like, ooh.
Yeah. I'm surprised Wall Street Bets isn't catching this one off. You would think with Wall Street Bets having the man advantage, they'd have at least one player watching for that cross.
Right?
Especially given that circle.
Interesting.
I get that you're setting up to eventually push them, or you think they're close by still, but just have one player at a certain angle that's watching the cross up the hill and have them close enough to become in support if it's the other way around, if they're staying and you're ready to take the fight. That's a huge slip up in my eyes from Wall Street Bets.
Yeah, I like the heads up play from Excuse. Just realize it, like, hey, with this next zone, we're down a player. We need to better prioritize it pretty quick here. So they took off and are heading their way in. And Hyper are in some vehicles driving on up, and so is Extreme Slayers. So they're going to be full sending it right past the Nomads here. Remix looks like he's going to take this warehouse. He spotted a Nomad. Oh my goodness, what are you doing on the? Oh, he got so lucky right there. So lucky that he got in that. I mean, 90% of the time he's thirsted.
Yeah, he's knocked and thirsted. 4-on-2 did manage to knock Robert, but I don't think that's going to really lead to anything. It's going to be tough for 4-1-2 to push across to. They have the control of the warehouse. If I was 4-1-2, the second I see that car going over, yeah, Hoyuya, now you push over. You know it's a 4v2.
True.
Because one of them's going for the revive. And they are going to make the push, or are they going to just...
No,
I don't hate it. At
Well,
least they're doing something.
Yeah, at least
right?
take the hill, right? At least take the hill and camp them out. No.
Yeah,
not even taking the risk at all. Just full sending it on in here. And honestly, bad location. Really bad one. Not a good spot in this next zone.
yeah, it's the low ground between two giant hilltops.
And
So-
your vehicle's going to get just destroyed. So, I mean, that rotation's dead in the water. So many different spots they could have taken, I think, in this next zone, because even if you try to run away from it, like you mentioned, there's two hilltops that are really solid places to be. And you know teams are going to be looking right down on you. So, interesting decision. But who knows? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? I've seen crazier things work. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm just glad they did something off of that knock. Some teams, even at this higher level, gets that knock and they just keep sitting, which is just leading to nothing, right? So
That's a
they
good
did
point.
something. They went for a rotation. They got the info that they're cut off ahead, so they take another route. We'll see how it works out for them in the next couple of circles. Passion Fruits right now, I mean, I've kept saying they should change their drop location on this northwest because it just never has worked out for them. If there was a stat, I mean, maybe I could find it real quick, Jukes, later on, but it's like, how many points has Passion Fruits gotten on Sanhok? I think out of all the matches they've played, maybe 2 to 3.
Well, who knows, right? Let's see how Passion Fruit does. They don't have 6-list, so who knows? Maybe they might do better. 6-list, if you're watching, laugh. Nice. Just kidding. Let's see how they do, though. I mean, I think Passion Fruit is a team that we've been talking about a lot, and a squad in particular that I've said it time and time again has so much talent. But, when it comes to their cohesiveness as a team, covering each other, making pushes together, that's where they seem to struggle. They are pushing together kind of tight right now, which I like to see, and it's perfect timing.
They should win this one.
Yeah, they should easily win this, but Zuko's the only one taking those shots. Wancho getting caught with a nade in his hand, and he's going to get thirsted. What is going on?
No way. Don't let him get thirsty. There's no way. Okay,
Watch out! Watch out!
No. Oh, no.
Okay.
Wancho's throwing a nade. Nate's peeking over.
That's
Okay.
one of those things, though. Like you as a team,
Oh my
when
God.
you are gonna have a nade thrown out, you have to call it out. Like you have to call out that you throw a nade because you can't take those shots. You think that I guarantee you, the people up front, Zuko and Nate, were thinking, oh hey, this is an easy push, right? We're 3v3 here. Let's just full send our body and just hit fire because our teammates are right here. But if you got 1 or 2 players with nades in their hands, you're in a 1v3 instead of a 3v3.
Here comes the push to finish out the rest of the fight, and they do pick it off. Okay, so
They
great
got
that
away
they-
with that. They got away with
yeah,
that.
great they won that, but just to, if you guys rewind that real quick, it was 3 players on the opposing team pushing in a car uphill, completely not prepared to take that fight against 3 other players, and you guys almost lost that. Right? Like, 3 players pulled up in a car, not ready, downhill from you. You had 3 players uphill that could have all peeked over and just shot and taken them out, and it just one by one. Speedfire.
Wow, 1 by 1, right? Look at that. Ooh, DBS action, looking good. So that's K19 eliminated early. Yeah, and I mean, you're right. I think that is a fight that they got away with because this is the NA PMPL Fall. Americas, they're gone. They're completely wiped with that one little mistake, just like that. Because that's not even a little one. That's a big one.
I still, it's like they had 3 right there. Juancho peeks out over the top by himself. Then Nate peeks out over the top by himself because, you know, the other player's throwing a nade. And then the other player had to win that 1v. It was, oh man, it got way dicier than it should have been. And yes, we are being critical, but I think even the audience watching would agree with us on that one. Like, that was played on the poorer side of ways to play that engagement out
for sure.
by Passion Fruits.
But that's the definition of what we're talking about, right? Just lack of cohesiveness. You know, like they all had that gun skill to do it, but understanding each other's timing, you know, call outs to make those plays at the same time. Great
nice shots by BULUC.
Wow, great return shots from BULUC. That's the stuff we want to see, you know, them playing so close together, so tight, that if one player gets knocked, you instantly are there to support them, you know, and BULUC did that perfectly right there. And honestly, I'm really glad to see BULUC playing again. I think he is a monster player. I think he did take a break due to school for a while.
Yeah.
So it's good to see him finally, you know, he got that education, and hopefully he's applying some of those physics lessons.
Yeah, by the way, Execute's trying to do like a 2-2 trap on them, which could work out really well or really poorly. And with this situation, if Passion Fruit just ignore the 2 across the riverways, they just make it an isolated 4v2. Casper and Killswitch more in the zone, you know, securing a spot for them, but Execute kind of put themselves in a tricky situation now if they are not able to, you know, eject Fate out of this position along with Trick, who's both over here.
Fate's got a buggy, but I mean, he is stuck at that rock. Like, Fate's so good. I think Fate is such a great gunner. It's just like the decisions he makes.
Look at BULUC.
Yeah, look at that.
He don't miss.
He does not miss. Trick done and dusted. And Fate might get body tagged here too. Yep. Goodbye. So
trying to do too much.
Doing too much, and that's what I'm saying. Is like, it's not just doing too much, but you do too much, and you put yourself in such a risky position. Like, that rock is just not the spot. It's just not the spot at all. There's so many different places you could have taken it up, but he took that rock and gets punished for it. I mean,
the only thing is, I don't think Fate ever should have gotten knocked there, and I say that in the sense of BULUC knocking him.
Yeah,
BULUC knocking him was a little bit of a surprise, right? Like, if I was Fate, I wouldn't have expected, because the speed at which Fate got knocked. He usually he was holding a really tight peak. Usually, you know, 3 to 4 shots missed, but I feel like BULUC hit every shot instantly, and it made that whole play crumble apart. So it's
I don't know. I'm gonna still call throw at Fate there, because I think he could have just gotten that buggy, backed it up, right, keeping his buggy covered behind the rock, and then drove forward speed and then jetted to his teammate, you know. But instead, he just kind of got a little lazy with it. It just drove straight left and he gave him the chance. That's what I'm saying. You know, you don't expect them to hit those shots, you know, but at the same time, why even give them the opportunity?
Yeah, I'm just torn, because every time we see Execute, right, as skills of mine, that is not the path you want to take.
Wow,
good sir, right out in the open, and I'm not sure why he took that path. They're complete. They have time. Blue zone isn't on them as the drop shot. Woo! Looks good. Your boy Slimmy goes down. Now Wall Street bets down to just a G. Ooh, wow. Good way for his skills of mine to turn that around. But just to finish my thought real quick, you know, with Execute, we always say they try and do too much, and it's kind of I kind of hate it, because it's like them doing too much. It's not necessarily the wrong play. It's just that almost every time they try and do too much, it fails.
That's true.
Because we see other teams doing the same exact setup that Execute would do, and they pull it off correctly, and we applaud it, right? Because there is easily a world where I'm like, wow, that 2-2 split, they have the 2 inside the zone, cutting them off, trapping them in, securing a foothold within zone while the 2 and the outside pressure, right? You could easily see a situation like that play out right for Execute, but just one small slip up and it's like a terrible play.
Yeah, that's all it takes. And you know what? It's one of those situations, folks, that Execute goes down. It's like when you have a little kid, right? You take him out to a restaurant, and that little kid just knocks over the glass of water, right? When he knocks over that glass of water so many times, the one time where, you know, the parents aren't looking and maybe somebody bumped the table and knocked it over, right? Right?
Okay.
You're still blaming the kid, right? You're like, you know, it had to be
Yeah.
you. And that's the
Yeah.
situation, I think, when it comes to execute, right? They keep knocking that glass of water over to where it's just like, man, you know what? It's just not working, right? I think it's time to just take a step back and just play just a little bit more conservative.
Yeah, play a little more straightforward. Just
Right.
have 4 people inside the zone camping them out instead of trying to do a 2-2 camps around, right? Way more simple. If you have 4 inside the zone, one of them gets knocked, easy revive, you still camp them out. Zuko coming in for passion fruits. But Remix with the answer right back with that nade.
Remix is so good. Man, this guy's no joke. Definitely, I think one of the star players here in North America. Definitely proved himself so far. Juancho! Another star in my eyes. Let's see, he's going to go, and he should be able to make it to Nate to get the res off, but there's only 15 seconds on the clock, so they're going to have to just basically full boot it on into this next zone. They are so far out of position, it is ridiculous.
Yeah, they got a long ways to go. The circle did shift over to the eastern side. We see NHyper on top of the hill, high ground and pretty much center. It's like I'm like a broken record. Every time NHyper in the zone, they're center. Every time in their zone, they're on high ground. But if no one else is contesting them for that position, hey, more power to them.
More power to them, indeed. Let's see, skills in mind. Pushing up. Oh, yeah, last player up. Wasted. Looking to try and sneak off another elimination. Look at this. Paradise Resort. Right? A place that was wide open. We could have seen another team take this location and it would have been big chillin'. But YKG ended up pushing right into it, and they had the entire area to loot for free. Lotus in the building here, playing it rather close. I think Lotus is happy to just play neighbors at this point. Like, they don't even need to get in this fight.
Yeah, they're going to have to soon, though, because when this circle shifts, they're most likely going to press into YKG. Good for them. They already know YKG's here because that nade landed. So Lotus is aware there could be a team just camping them out as Chico falls back a little bit. The rest of YKG a little bit further behind inside Paradise. See how this works out for them. Kindness picking up a knock in the elimination feed. Let's see. And Hyper with 2 points already. They're probably going to pick up a lot more holding that high ground, playing defensive. And Kindness with another one.
Wow. Kindness is ridiculous. I tell you what, when this guy got zoned, he is just a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, Passion Fruit forced to just push in. Nate gonna go out right here in the next couple seconds as Pathon gets some nice shots out of him. Nate is behind that tree, but for how long? Nope, that long.
Not very long. And Circle Jukes, look at that.
Wow.
We're going down the hill.
And Hyper, I was like, and Hyper didn't get center circle this time? Wow. Very
Yeah.
interesting. They do get zoned, though. They do have a good position in it. Speedfire, okay, they did find that compound, so they're going to have to defend it. Question is, which team's going to get the most eliminations here? A lot of different options. MEZEXIS has 5, but they're in a pretty interesting spot. And Hyper with 4 and a good position. Looking pretty good.
I got to go with NHyper most likely here. I was going to side with YKG until I saw YKG lost the player here against Lotus. So YKG just not looking like the dominant YKG from week 1. From week 1, YKG wins this fight, keeps all 4 up, then pushes onto the backside of NHyper, and then went out the game. Now it's questionable what happens. NHyper made the push down the hill, so they realize, you know, we can hold this high ground, pick up more points, but next circle, all eyes on us when we have to make it down the hill. So why not just go down the hill now? They do end up losing Ren, but they're still putting in shots uphill and picking up points where they can.
Uh-oh, Koi zooming in that 6X, looking to catch some angles. Meanwhile, you got Jimmy over here from Speedfire, full lay down, just trying to use that TPP peek to his advantage. Happy to share this area with NHyper, as long as they go ahead and keep it separate. Which team will have the most eliminations? Uneven, I go with MEZEXIS. MEZEXIS, they're playing this outer rim, but if they win this fight against Lotus, and it looks like they're doing it.
One.
What a huge nade. Lotus getting ripped apart. Inactive gets caught by a molly, though. And they are so separate that they end up losing him. So
And
there's
Skyline.
2.
Yeah, I think 4-1-2.
The
Nomads picked that one up. Yeah, Nomads are on the south
where?
side.
Oh,
From
yeah.
downhill. Shooting
Nice shot.
uphill. That's a crazy angle for them to catch out a player. But yeah, MEZEXIS is all of a sudden down too. They were looking really strong.
Chico!
And 24K
Wow.
finishes that one up and then instantly gets third-partied. And that is YKG out. LOTUS Esports also out. Leaving MEZEXIS alive up here, but only with 2. And they got to go downhill.
They got to go downhill indeed. They got to go quickly here. There's only 27 seconds left on the clock. Meanwhile, 412 really crippled their chances in this match. And Hyper still holding the building, and they have this next zone, so they are big chilling here. This is where Hyper usually does their best work. And oh, they have so much sight lines. Kindness, the one player you do not want to have zone looking in your direction. This guy don't miss.
Yeah, it's like a sentry turret.
It's a
Just
Reaper.
monitoring everything. You saw earlier, he scoped into 2 spots, and that's exactly where the 2 spots he needs to look at. So he's ready on the drop of a dime to pop off some shots. He's just waiting for this blue zone to force them in.
Here they come. Papa Blue started to push everybody on into this next circle. We got Ace. Oh, pushing on into MEZEXIS, and Crow goes
Ooh.
down. So that is MEZEXIS Esports eliminated right there. 6 eliminations to their name. And BOPE does go out as well. Uh-oh, and Hyper in big trouble here. It's really up to GK first. He should be able to get this reses, but is 412 going to push across the road? It's a hard one.
Yeah.
But with 2 knocks, oh, you know they want to.
They want to, but Speedfire's right there watching everything unfold. So look how careful they're playing, though, from the Hyper side. They're backing as far back as possible to go for the revive so the nade doesn't catch out the last player that's alive.
Uh-oh, actually, look at this next circle. This next circle is brutal right here. That leaves Hyper completely out of this next zone. So they're going for these reses, but it was 7 seconds left on the clock. They got to get moving.
They have a car. I think
No
that car is
way.
still operable. I imagine they could throw down some smokes and then slam right ahead in front of 412. We'll see what happens. 412 only has 2 up.
They're going to
Blue
press
zone's closing.
412, but there's no way they make it across. No way. How did Kindness even make it that far outside the building? That's
Yeah,
my
what's
question.
Speedfire doing?
What are they doing? How
Where
are
are
they
they
moving
looking?
for free?
Well, they make it across, but they still have to contend with 412. And it's
just
all
Koi.
down to Koi.
Oh,
He's
the
out
blue
of the blue
zone.
zone. It's ticking. It's hurting.
Oh, it hurts too much. Koi's forced to run in the drop
Oh,
shot.
man.
And that is Hyper eliminated with only 5. So right below MEZEXIS LOL. Let's see how Ace of Spades are going to hold this on top of the hill as they have all the sight lines in the world. Most eliminations. That's easy right there for the Ace of Spades.
It could very well easily go towards some Speedfire getting cut apart. 412 picking one up with the nades. Free point, last one up for 412. Can he pull off the second place? And he does confirm it, and he's going to deny the point. Free point might be his name, but he's not going to be looking to give that free point over to Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades with a massive chicken dinner.
Beautifully done right there. And that's Sanhok for you, ladies and gentlemen. No matter how good you are, if Papa Blue doesn't love you in this map, you are out of there. So a great performance, a great chicken dinner there for Ace of Spades. And, I was shocked that Hyper even made it that far. So that being the case, I really wonder what Speedfire was doing.
I don't know, Jukes.
They should have had that locked down. They should have had that area locked down.
I don't know what they were looking at. No one was looking over at Hyper's position. And what else could they be looking at? They only need one person looking inside zone. But either way, Hyper, they make it across, and they could have won that, but they messed it up. That close range, not exactly their expertise, but still Ace of Spades controlling the eastern side the whole time, just slowly, ever so surely, cutting opponents down, picking up points here and there, and they end up getting that chicken dinner.
Yeah, I think Hyper was lucky to even make it that far. I think they just were able to capitalize on some mistakes from other teams. But you know what? That's the way of the game, right? And Sanhok, like I said, if the zone don't love you, you ain't winning.
Yeah.
But hey, Ace get the love right there. Good for them. Let's go ahead and take it on over to the highlights.
Welcome back, everyone, to PMPL and Ace of Spades take themselves a victory with the 6 eliminations behind it, get themselves 16 points. You know, I talked a lot of smack about them in the first week because they only had one really good game, just 20 eliminations plus the chicken dinner, so they got 30 points in one match. But you know what? They've gotten 2 in this week now with some chicken dinners, and they're starting to pick up some steam, man. They're starting to make some moves, and it's really working for them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Sanhok is Sanhok, so I don't want to put too much value on this game, especially when you see that they only had 6 eliminations. They were controlling a lot of ground. I think they had a little bit of more opportunity if they had some cleaner play, but you know, fair play to them. The points are points, and you know, it's always nice to get that little Sanhok boost and jump up the leaderboards a little bit.
Yeah, PASSIONFRUIT, by the way, 8 elims, massive play out of them. Nice to see them get that many eliminations, and again, it's really not that big of a spread between like 3rd and 8th place here when it comes to points, right? There's only a big soak towards the top with those 2 teams. But good to see some life out of them, man. They're starting to pick up some points themselves. Just need to really kind of focus on getting to the later stages of the game, or at least set themselves up to do that. We are looking down the list, though. You can see Extreme Slayers. This is their one bad match of the day that they seem to always have, so they got that out of the way, you know, relatively early. And Execute getting 0 points. I don't know, man. They were looking really hot. I think they were 3rd at the start of the day at 41 points, and it's been a rough couple of games for them so far today.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely seems on par with their recent performance, which, you know, is suboptimal, to say the least. But yeah, a bad game for, Extreme Slayers. You know, I'll take that on a Sanhok. Again, as I said, there is a lot of RNG, so winning games, like, it's very hard to control all these factors. At least they got those 2 eliminations. You know, that's better than 0. And, you know, as long as that's their only game of the day, fair play to them. I don't think there's anything wrong with losing a Sanhok game.
I see that calculus class has been working out well for you, knowing that 2 is more than 0 indeed. Let's take a look at Ace of Spades player stats here in this last match. Get an idea of where it all came from. And Blinky Bay getting with his 4 eliminations. I feel like Blinky Bay's been generally the player to look at when it's come to this team for Ace of Spades over the course of this entire event.
Yeah, you know, one interesting thing to point out right here is that, like, they have almost no damage received across the board. Very, very low numbers. That just kind of shows you the nature of Sanhok. They had that east side control. They kind of kept getting those zone shifts. And, you know, everything's nice and dandy. Nobody's even challenging them, which, you know, is a good thing and a bad thing. You know, they're playing well, but at the same time, it limited their opportunities for elimination points. But we'll take a win, I guess. And they're
gotta correct myself.
Yeah.
Gotta correct myself as well. You got Blinky Bay on 28 so far the entire event. Illy P gonna be at 29, Kiddo at 26, and Mambe at 17. So they do have a pretty decent split across 3 of those players, but the consistency is something that's been a little bit lacking out of them because they have some like really high highs and some really low lows. So I'd love to see them have a little bit more consistency in their results. But let's take a look at our total damage. And I would imagine PASSIONFRUIT should be here close to number 1. You know what? They're going to be number 1 here. This is very Sanhok numbers, as Colaris would say.
Yeah, not a huge performance from anybody, but we'll like to see it from PASSIONFRUIT. You know, they did go out quite early. They had 0 placement points, so they were on pace for a really big game if only, you know, Zone hadn't done them dirty, but it did. They had that really hard hardship east, and they had to go up that hill. They had to go through Extreme Slayers, and they got caught. They also had to cross the whole river as well. It's never easy. So, great game from them. 8 eliminations is about as good as you can hope for when you get faced with one of those zones. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, pretty decent breakdown there. I mean, at Hyper, we also saw the final push as well. I'm surprised they lived that long, but as you mentioned, like Koi kind of sitting in the blue there, kind of griefing himself and his team a bit, but obviously the position they're in is not really much to bounce back from. But maybe while we have a little bit of time here, about 30 seconds, we get into our next match, we can see our overalls, get an idea of who's currently sitting in first, which I would imagine, actually, I'm not even convinced it's going to be in Hyper necessarily. Okay, Extreme Slayers, they're going to be a little bit behind, as in Hyper are at 83. Ace of Spades are moving up to 3rd place, as Execute has fallen to 4th. And then we see Canadian Eagles at 36, MEZEXIS at 36, LOTUS at 35, 412 NOMADS at 32. It's not as quite of a big discrepancy between like our top 1, 2, 3 teams like we had last week, at least at the moment. But there's this really big cluster of teams in the middle of the pack right now.
Yeah, you know, an interesting thing to point out is that Extreme Slayers are so consistent at doubling their elimination points compared to their placement points, right? This is the same thing that they did last week, so they haven't, you know, they've got a play style and they're sticking to it. I think that's an interesting fact to point out. They always have very low placement points compared to their peers, right? At the same elimination point level, right? 52 eliminations on NHyper, 31 placement points, as opposed to nearly 50 and 23 for Extreme Slayers. So,
Well, to be
that's
fair,
pretty
you take away those 2 chicken dinners from NHyper, and all they have is 11 points. And then Extreme Slayers have 23 with 0 chicken dinners. At least that's like one little tidbit I'll give them. But I agree with you; they definitely favor the eliminations. But honestly, I would rather have a team be able to pick up a lot of elims in low placements. I still say I feel like it's easier to work on being able to get to the later stages of the game than it is to work on your individual skill and your team synergy when it comes to these 4-on-4 fights. But speaking of, high limbs, low placements, PASSIONFRUIT, man, 28 limbs, 4 placements, 9th place. I mean, they're doing much better this week than last.
yeah, but that, they're taking that Extreme Slayers strategy to the extreme, and that's not helping them at all. They're not getting anywhere near that top 3. But yeah, just want to see Extreme Slayers. Oh, and also let's point out YKG continuing their slump. I
think it's fair, right? I think last season in spring they had like one bad week as well. I'm gonna try to look it up really quickly, or maybe I won't have time to look it up because we're gonna head over to our casters to get our 3rd match underway. Hot Jukes and Zute, take it away.
Let's get it go. We're heading on over to Erangel, finally. So, these teams are pretty excited about that. Zute, we've seen some interesting plays, I think, today, right? We see some squads finally start to show some signs of life. We see Extreme Slayers with the comeback, Ace of Spades putting some points on the board. Who do you think's next? Who's due? Who's due?
Who's due? Who's due?
Who's due?
Taking a look at the team list that players playing. Wall Street Bets.
Okay.
I feel like they could be due for one. Another team taking a look at this. They just beat Wall Street Bets, really.
All right.
Maybe even Ace of Spades, or actually they just won one. So no.
What about K19? What do you think about K19, huh?
I glanced at K19. I just haven't seen anything out of them that's like, okay, they're due for one now. I think K19. They were on a very little small uptrend on week 1, but it was just nothing to write home about. And so I haven't seen anything from them today either, or yesterday, at the start of the week. So I think K19 is just kind of there.
What version of HH24 do we need to see at K19? We're going to see them have some success. Which team?
I don't know, man. HH24 is just... I only really recall HH24 in the heydays of when it was HH24 and the Tensa duo, right?
Okay. You got Knights HH? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but then after that, it was like... It was just kind of... the HH24 Magic just was gone.
So not Tempo Storm HH? You're thinking Knights HH?
Yeah.
Okay.
Either way, man. Since we're on this topic, so many star players from back in the days they're not keeping up, right?
It's hard.
Yeah, Tensa, we haven't seen him. Tensa used to be a god. We revered him as a god as Wall Street Bets. Well, I said they're due. And they're gonna start off with Skills of Mine. They get one,
Killjoy, bah!
and they get 2. Ooh, the shotgun.
You called it. Wall Street Bets were due, and
they lost one
though.
Yeah, they lose one. Yeah.
That's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt there. So, Wall Street Bets landing at Rozhawk against Skills of Mine once again. And at least we're not seeing, a crazy butterfly esports hot drop. At least not yet. Looks like they're all the way down in Novo. So they're big chilling. And meanwhile, you see Slimmy with that DP looking to try and catch another player. Because once they find him, I guarantee you we're going to see a push because they know they have the man advantage.
Yeah, it's a 3v1 at that point if they find a knock. But yeah, a lot of the players, as I was saying, like who else, right? Sixless, HH24, Tensa, even I hate to do this, but Kill Switch.
Oh,
I think Kill Switch was like the most recent phenomenal player. Coming back in, and then it's like not much. Not much is happening. And yeah, so it's like all these players from back in the days. Don't get me wrong, they're doing okay. It's not like they're doing terrible, but it's not like the olden days for them. Not like the glory days.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. I mean, there's so many So many different play styles out. You know, now with this new point scored, it's actually made things a lot more difficult for teams. You know, because being cohesive, getting placement points, being so important before. Now it's all about eliminations. So I think that also with just the lobby developing as a whole, right? I think we have definitely seen teams have gotten better across the board, making things just that much more difficult. There's not any more. Well, there's not as many feeder teams as there was before, right?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is just we talked about it, and it was actually talked on the interview with. Oh, hold on, YKG. DP. Ooh, the DP bullet's just a little bit too slow to catch that one out of the car. But Speedfire Jimmy, he's like, I'm gonna go for it. The rest of the team made it over. I'm gonna just keep going, and I think he also made it over. So Speedfire. Getting really lucky they didn't get knocked out of the car by YKG.
Sure,
I think YKG
100%.
kind of messing up there. If YKG's bridge camping, do a little bit better. Might have been happenstance that YKG was there. But yeah, Speedfire make it across. And so, okay, so I was talking about one thing that I think is leading to all these top, used to be top tier players not performing as well was that interview you had with NHyper. Really kind of says it, just the competitive fatigue. When you've been doing it for this long, it's hard to maintain that thirst, that hunger, that drive, right?
Yeah.
To get better, to prove something. Then all these other players who are like newer in the scene, they're on the up and coming. They definitely have more drive potentially, and that hunger does make you a way better competitive player.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hopefully we could see some of that hunger, some of that drive here at the end of the tournament, because I mean we are seeing some teams definitely show up, right? We're seeing some squads, some signs of life. I think Extreme Slayers is a big one for sure. But you know what? At the end of the day, we need to see a team from North America make it to the show, right? Make it all the way to PMGC. That's what I'm really, really waiting and hoping for.
We'll see if we do get that in time. The first circle, by the way, just really standard. Right in the center of the map. The only thing is the second zone might shift up hard north, which will get a really big change in the potential layout of the fight. But for now, everyone is just chilling, waiting for that second circle before doing anything. So I don't think we'll see much more action here for the next few minutes of the match.
Can't blame him, right? This is Erangel right now. Everyone's looking to get those points on the map that they love the most. So not shocked to see a little bit more hesitancy than normal. As we see Frady trying to get some shots onto Puppeteers.
Yeah, this is Extreme Slayers, so just as I say that, not much action going on. Extreme Slayers will always show up and show some action as Reckless that nade. Ooh, the last bullet on that UMP catches Puppeteers out. Man, Puppeteers had like one amazing day. It was a slow build up to that one amazing day, and then they just killed it. And now they're just back to where they at.
Where are they at? That is the question, right? Where are they? Because Dog has been hiding. Dog has been hiding, right? We're really waiting for him to pop up and show up because, I mean, man, if he goes and just starts making those plays, this dude is ridiculous. So hopefully we can see that happen here sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, Trixie Boy, the main player that's been showing up for Skills of Mine, going down early. And, yeah, Wall Street Bets fully taking advantage of it here. 3 eliminations so far. You said they were due, and now they're looking for that squad wipe.
Yep. I'm surprised this fight is still happening. So this whole time while we've been talking, Wall Street Bets slowly, methodically clearing out the buildings, and Skills of Mine just still here, hoping to do something, pick up maybe 1 or 2 more points.
Let's see. Are they going to be able to find that final player? Doesn't look like it. So they were on the hunt, right? They were checking every corner. But he's been a little bit sneaky there. And Killjoy senses something.
Needle in the haystack right now.
Chill is just big chilling right now. Not even close. Uh-oh. Are they going to spot him, though, over this?
Yeah, it'll be so hard to. They're looking inside buildings and everything. Not expecting him to just be on the outside.
Oh, no. He's going to run right into him. Slimmy is going to have to see him. He's got the DBS out ready. He's off. There he goes. He pops up. Oh, he does get one knock. The jump shots are going to be too big, though. Oh, that's it for Skills of Mine. Yep,
Yeah.
just like that. So, hey, a nice effort. Does get one. But at the end of the day, skills of mind get taken out at Rosshawk. Do you think they finally decide to say that Rosshawk just isn't it and move to a different location at this point?
I mean, they have from time to time, right? It's not like every single time they drop there, so I'm not sure what prompted this fight, but it's like maybe they feel like they had a chance. We'll see. Next zone does come out, and okay, this one's going to make things interesting. This circle does keep some of the northern side in the zone, but essentially that north half, you can just count it out of the map. Very unlikely it's going to be in zone next play or on the next shift. So every team essentially has less space to work with on this circle 2 than usual when it comes to Erangel.
And Extreme Slayers with 2 eliminations looking real good. Butterfly Effect holding this spot for now. Teams that still need to rotate on in, looking at Excuse, YKG, Speedfire, Execute, all the way up over there by North George. Looks like they're trying to set up a little bit of a camp on Ace of Spades. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Must be. Not too surprised, though, because that first circle, everyone's kind of waiting to see where it shifts either way to determine, what spot we want to get to. So in the meantime, if we're going to wait, we may as well camp out the team that we 100% know is going to rotate by us. We'll see if that camp works out for them. As Ace of Spades, they're going to do a really wide rotation. I don't know if Ace of Spades, saw something that made them rotate really safe, or is just a hunch. But good chance Execute won't find any of those Ace of Spades players because they're wrapping really hard up in the north and the blue, making that safe rotation.
Yeah, smart play, especially coming in from that side. They're going to have a lot of different angles to be able to rotate on into this next zone and even further down south if they need to. So, the calm before the storm happening right now. Just to remind everybody, we did see Wall Street Bets with 4 eliminations. Isajat just wide out in the open here. That's a little bit odd. I mean, yeah, you see him waiting out this. I think maybe he just thought it was safe, but
they only have one vehicle.
Yeah.
I think that's why we saw YKG next to the bridge too now, because they weren't trying to bridge camp, which is why that bridge camp looks so poor. They were trying to find a vehicle. Yeah, YKG dropped, I believe, like Quarry, Primorsk Ferry Pier, all along that stretch of road, and they've only managed to find one vehicle. So that's really slowing them down on, how they might want to play the match. But hey, they're an edge team. They saw Excuse rotate in front of them with multiple vehicles. This Jab might have been like, hey, I found some cars. We just got to take them from another team. And that might be the play they're looking to do now.
Long always has his eye on Dong. I don't know why, right? We've seen him knock that player so many times. It's so funny, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen, for those of you guys that have ever played comp before or haven't, it's always one player in particular that always seems to knock you. It always happens. You have that one just nemesis that just you always catch slipping. And or always catches you slipping as well. Meanwhile, look at this, Speedfire making the push on the Wall Street Bets. This is a really bold fight here.
I mean, this is a good position in the circle, so they're just
Nice
forcing
shot.
in, taking it over, and Slimmy goes down. RVLO doing a good job opening that up, and Wall Street Bets was not ready for this kind of full sin onto their location. Completely separated, completely split up.
Arevalo, the beautiful knock there. And then, yeah, with Wall Street Bets being so split, they're should be able to take advantage of this fight. I'm surprised they're not pressing this more since he is so split up. Okay, all right, Jimmy just saying, all right, oh my gosh, he's like spread out player. Let's go, let's send it. He pushes it, but where's the rest of the team? They're giving him 1v1 opportunities. This is way too risky. Oh, they got lucky there.
Yeah, luckily for them, it's only that one player. And that smoke cuts off the sightlines for any type of support. Speedfire will be able to get the revive
Oh, he
too.
got caught.
Oh, he does get
SLR.
caught. Clown is close by, though, so Clown's going to reset both of them. They'll be okay. Maybe the last Wall Street Bets player might recognize in the elimination feed that 2 of them are down, but he's not moving. So Speedfire will be okay. Next zone did shift, and it did go up north, so completely disregard what I was saying earlier, Jukes, about the north not being in the potential play zone for the next shift, because it is pretty much a 50-50 now between the north and the south.
Oh, this zone is so brutal because you really have to make that bet, right? Which one are you going to take, the south or the north? And the zone can go in either direction. So we'll see here as Super Lazy Reflex looking to take that north side right there, but trying to stay as central as possible. That bridge by Yasnaya is really important because whoever team holds it, they're going to have a nice gateway into either side, but you could definitely hold both sides of that bridge. So
Yep.
definitely something to keep in mind of.
YKG and Rozek right now. We saw another game where YKG was here in Rozek and the zone shifted north, and they just pretty much played the shoreline side and won the game. Maybe looking to do something similar here, but this time around, there's like so many more teams on that south side that they need to worry about. And we'll see very soon with the circle closing in. Is it going to be that north? Is it going to be that south? Or we might just keep the 50-50 going, Jukes.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's a 100% chance that HH24 is going to get beamed out that buggy. Beautiful shots there from Frady. Guy's really been on point so far today, and you can see Extreme Slayers. They do push their way through the Yasnaya fields. They are going to get pieced up a little bit by K19. Frady's actually really close. I think Skur has to see him. Is he going to take those shots, though?
Yeah,
Oof.
I think if
Yeah, no
anything, he's
angles.
trying to play quiet. Nope. Yep, now he's going to shoot when Frady's on the run. Yeah, you don't take
That's
the
funny.
challenge when they could shoot back, but you definitely take the challenge when they're driving away from you.
Reminds me
K19
of like a Chihuahua barking, right? You know, just where are you going?
Yeah.
Where are you going? And then as soon as he get close, quiet.
Yep.
Quiet. Right. Well, let's see this. Oh, speaking of quiet, it's time to get a little bit loud here as YKG pushing onto Speedfire. It's the Jet.
Oh, no.
My, what, Jimmy? Oh, that DBS action, mighty dangerous. Oh, they do lose another player as well. So YKG down to 2.
I don't know if I saw that correctly, but I thought YKG had 4 up in there. Like, one of them was knocked, but they had a total of 4 players. And now they're cut down to 2. This is Jack holding that nade, thinking the other player wouldn't push so aggressively. And the majority of his team gets caught because of that. And now they're down to 2 players, making this win looking very unlikely for the side of YKG now.
It is not looking good. K19 eliminated. Passionfruit still up with 1 elimination. And Puppeteers with just Dong and Liu Zhang holding the south side of Rozhawk. So, I mean, is it possible we get a Rozhawk finish? It's really unlikely. Most likely going to go up north into that field where the Wizard Tower is. That's
Yeah.
going to probably be a really good spot to hold. And it looks like Canadian Eagles have it already.
Yeah, I mean, I said it was unlikely that the north of the Erangel Island would be in play, coming into circle, what, 2 or 3?
Right? Yeah.
And it's been in play this whole time, so it might just shift back down to the south. We'll see if we get those crazy hard shifts. There's still 38 players alive.
Woo!
This zone is getting very packed right now as the circle still continues to shrink ever more.
There we go. Time to turn it up a bit right here as the zone is gonna starting to close. BOPE holding this compound for now. Fuego trying to keep some sight lines, running inside the building a little too much, not keeping an eye on where other teams are. Meanwhile, Butterfly Effect forced to do a crazy send through the bridge.
They
And
make it.
this bridge, fortunately for them, is still open.
Yeah, nobody playing the shoreline side right there or on the other side. So Butterfly Effect will make it through. They do need to drop down some smokes, though, because their flanks will be open. Canadian Eagles on that north side in the compound as 4. Nobody playing outside of the building. Definitely more the passive route. We'll see where it takes them later on. Execute, of course, control the outside, which is great. Butterfly Effect, yeah. They did make it across the bridge, but it's so wide open there that they don't know exactly where to stop and play at.
Just got to make what do with what they have. They're gonna lose D in the process, and that's to XEZ with 1 HP. That's gotta hurt. Exotico's down as well. Meanwhile, Lotus. Okay, it looks like they did push up onto BOPE, and I think it's just Fuego up left. Look at Guerra with this angle. Look, he jumped through. The nice
Oh,
pre-fire.
yeah.
Fuego never saw it coming.
Nope. He thought he just had the stairs to worry about, but Guerra already on the second floor, using the roof hops over onto the ledge. Smart play. Lotus does have 4 up. This will help them greatly once that zone shifts, and we will see that zone shift right here. Will
Center's
it
up.
pull
Center's up.
off in the south?
It's gonna say, okay,
Oh,
all right.
yeah, it goes
even
up to the north.
You know, Ace of Spades, is just like, whoo, you know, breathing a sigh of relief. That is a huge rotation for them.
Very good zone for everybody up in that north side. For the south, though, that's going to be a tough crossing. I mean, Butterfly Effect, they are only down to 2. So Lotus Esports can push in and take that spot over. Puppeteer's already doing so on that mini-map feed, and they might drive into the water. Yeah, they're not going to risk the bridge crossing with only 2. They're going to make it into the water and potentially camp the bridge now against Lotus. Lotus needs to start making a move now, or else they're going to be fighting Puppeteers, Butterfly Effect, and whatever team might decide to rotate to this bridge as well.
Here comes Lotus Esports. They are on the move, trying to make a play here. And the full send on over to the bridge. Which team do you guys think is going to finish top 3? Oh, so many different options here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it one time. I'm going to go with Passionfruit. Passionfruit, do not let me down. You have a good position. Utilize it to the best of your ability, because look at this. I mean, Puppeteer stuck under the bridge. Dong just trying to survive, trying to get some more points on the board for his team.
We might see the great Dong show here. He's in the late game. He's alive. And this is where Puppeteers pull out the most insane things, right? Where you least expect it to. And they're picking up points, controlling the bridge. Lotus had 4. Now they're down to 2. Dong is still up. And if the zone goes anywhere down there on the next shift, we could see Dong put up even more numbers.
And Wall Street Bets gets eliminated. Dog is going to take these shots on Under. Oh, Under gets away. He's being patient. He's waiting. I'm surprised he doesn't see him. Nope, he does not. So, Dong taking his time. Meanwhile, you got Extreme Slayers going out. K19 going out. Bunch of squads getting punished on this rotation. It's not an easy one. Fetty's going to throw some nades in this direction, try to go fishing, try to catch something, but it is just a little too far off the mark.
Dong waiting for the next zone, crossing his fingers here. Passionfruit Esports on the eastern side, hearing a lot of commotion here, seeing if they can get an angle or something with the position. Put out some points maybe for the next zone shift. Wu doing his darnest to suppress YKG, and 24K looking like he's going to try and pull off some cheeky play here. Who will be in the top 3? Jason and I, we go with Execute. Execute, they've been, slipping up a lot, but given the fact that they have 4 and they have a decent position, it could end up in that top 3 in my opinion.
Let's see if they can clinch it here. Canadian Eagles are holding this single blue building. Here comes Fate. Beautiful smokes there from Execute that completely eliminated their sight lines. This is how you do it, folks. Just throw all the utility you got. Fate is in the open, though. He's got to be careful. One of these nades has got to hit. They do piece him up little by little, but not able to get the crucial knock.
All they need is 1 or 2 knocks, some well-placed nade, and they need to do it now. That new zone shift, I mean, it works out perfectly for Execute, in my opinion. They only have to worry about 1 team, and then they have Circle. They just have to execute this correctly. They don't need to do too much. Everybody just trapped in the building. Throw some nades, throw some mollies, force them to come out. As Strick driving up gets caught. It's a 4v3 situation. Now it gets chaotic. Kill switch also goes down. Execute with only 2 up. They get it 1 trade back. 2v3 situation. Smoke's covering everything. Fate runs in. Another Canadian Eagle goes down. I believe it might be a 2v2 in this chaos. No, it's a 2v1. Quinn, last one up. Execute. Need to clutch this out and keep all 4 members alive.
There's Fate looking to make a push, making a play, and he does get it, but they do lose kill switch in the process right there. Quinn able to get a nice thirst and take one of their players out, so they won the battle. Can they win the war? That's going to be the question. As you see Casper on the rotation already looking to find a better location, but Ace of Spades have their number, and with Execute on the back foot here, 1 good nade is all it takes. Ooh, that would actually have been a good one on the side of Execute.
Yeah.
And it is. It's good enough to ward them off. So, nice nade there.
Ooh, they really needed that. They needed Ace of Spades off their neck. So now they have a firmer control. Ace of Spades could have stayed a little bit longer, in my opinion. Like, they're chilling. Could have looked for more points there, but getting a little bit too scared. SLR on the south side, defending the push against Excuse. Got the Wizard Tower for control, and they're spraying up there. They gotta be careful, though. It's a strong spot, but you don't have a lot of options to peek from, so the shots will be ringing right back, and they do take down Excuse.
Beautifully done there from SLR. I talked about this Wizard Tower. It was taken by them, and they've controlled it for the time being. Now they are trying to move into the next spot, but Execute's doing a good job of controlling this hilltop here. They're in a good position. Now let's see if they can finish it, right? You got Fate with a nice knock. Trick pushing on up.
This is big.
I do like this aggression here, especially realizing that SLR is so hurt. Nice swipe there from Execute.
Yeah, now that was tough to pull off for
That was
Execute,
good.
but they do it flawlessly. Not even a single player knocked. And to realize, you know, they need to make a play. They had a huge fight. They got the zone, and they could, you know, tuck in and slowly get pinched out. No, that's not what they decide. They're going to fight again, and I think that was a really decisive choice to make, a tough one to make, and they do it cleanly.
They do it so cleanly right here. Meanwhile, Puppeteer still alive from that holding that bridge position. They were the bridge trolls, and they live to fight another day. Now, I'm surprised. Oh, a beautiful rotation from them with these smokes to be able to circumvent Lotus. And now Dong knows exactly where they're at. Wow, nice shots on the Zuko. And a beautiful nade. Dong starting to turn things up.
Yep. Dong.
Ready?
The magic. Another nade. Does tag the player up just a little bit. This one's going to hit just because it's Dong.
Oh,
my
baby.
God. Called it.
On the money. Here comes Dog. We were waiting to see him show up. And here, this Erangel match, he definitely has 4 eliminations, an entire squad wipe by this man by himself.
Yep.
And full control of the south side of the circle.
Yeah. Well, once you see Dong into the late game, you know something is about to happen. Never fails to disappoint. Ace of Spades catch one player, and now they're going full-on aggressive. They know from the elimination feed Execute is hurt and that they're only dealing with 2. So I really love this the aggression out of Ace of Spades here.
Here they come with a nice run over onto Trick.
Oh.
So they're making those bold plays, and that is Execute eliminated right there. So we see them turn up, but unable to finish. Let's see who's going to get the finish here, as now PASSIONFRUIT, recognizing the amount of zone control they have, starting to turn up the aggression.
Turning it up indeed. They have 4 up. Man advantage. They have the hillside to work with also to fight Ace of Spades. They just got to worry about one man in particular, Juice, and that is Dong.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Dong is the greatest threat in this lobby. You know, I have 100%. Ace of Spades, you guys are tough. I'll tell you what, Dong by himself, this dude is dangerous. PASSIONFRUIT, you better be worried. That nade are already too close for comfort. That's from Li Jiang, though. Can he actually hit one here? If he does hit a big one, that's going to be huge. Oh, he gets naded himself. Keeps a whole bunch of them. And Zuko trying to take some pop shots. Ace of Spades catching him. Now Dong is on the back foot. Just a rock to his name. Full squad of PASSIONFRUIT coming. Yeah, he don't stand a chance. Never mind. He gets one.
That's one. Ace of Spades versus PASSIONFRUITs now. 4v4 situation. One of PASSIONFRUITs is knocked. They're trying to get the revive. PASSIONFRUIT Esports, will they manage to clutch this one out? You put them in the top 3. Jukes, they're already in the top 3, but are they going to get the chicken?
That's the question. Let's see if they can do it. Meanwhile, you got Ace of Spades here coming off a really phenomenal game. They've done really good here today, and another top finish. They're going to be pretty happy with that. Zuko looking to catch some toes over here onto Kiddo. Big heads-up play. Oh, PASSIONFRUIT get the circle. Yeah, this should be... Yep. They have this game in the bag. It's their game to lose at this point.
PASSIONFRUIT. They just need to not try and do too much. Also, I don't want to see too many aggressive peaks, right? If one of them get knocked, it is an easy opening that Ace of Spades is desperately looking for right now to try and make a push.
And let's see how they're going to be able to make this push here. You got both teams rocking a full split. Nate does catch one. That's going to be huge. Ooh, that nade, though, hits Zuko.
What a nade!
That was critical, and that's going to force PASSIONFRUIT to lose a player as they try to get this res off. Yeah, Ace of Spades need to move. They need to move. I know they don't have much room to do it, but that's the only opening they're going to get for the most part. Here they go.
Here comes the push. They're going to swing out to the right side on the back of a buggy. It's a tough one. A full reset. A Hail Mary play.
They beat the buggy!
It catches one, but they still got 3 more Jukes. And going for the... No, keep shooting, Zuko. Zuko's going to take the shots. Only 2 up, and that's
Oh,
a
bad
terrible
park.
spot to stop it.
Yeah, real bad
It's
mark
done.
job. That's going to be it for Ace of Spades right there. A valiant effort, though. Really, really well played from them. Mumbai does take the shots on to Valak, but Valak just too good right there. It's Passion Fruit Esports pulling out a huge chicken dinner right there.
Passion Fruit Esports, a huge win. They took their time with it. They got the zones in their favor, but they didn't mess up the execution. They just
did not.
played it slow, took their time, and made the plays when it was necessary. And 2,067 damage, 7 eliminations. Sure, they could have had a bit more eliminations in my opinion, but they didn't, take those unnecessary pushes to look for more. And I think that's what this team needs right now. They just need to, secure some points, do it cleanly, not try to get too fancy with things. And then when they get that confidence, when they get more points, pad their stats a little bit more, then they could look to be a little more greedy and look to do more.
100%. I know Sixless is watching right now. It's just like, nice. That is what we've been waiting to see right there. Some good execution, great plays. Did get a little bit close right there, but a win is a win, and we take those all day long. Let's go to it, take it over to the highlights, and we'll be right back, guys.
Passion Fruit coming up big here with a big dub. Not a ton of eliminations behind it, but a lot of motivation here for the team, showing that they can close out games when they need to. Uneven, man. That's a game that Passion Fruit should be pretty proud of.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy game too. They definitely did not commit to that north side river shift before it happened, right? They fought their way in. They had some nice control on the east side the whole time, slowly moving with zone. They didn't get blessed. They played their edge correctly, and they worked into it.
They had such a good zone, like as you put out, right? Because they were playing the east side of the zone, right near the bridge. So they had that pivot point to jump depending on where the zone went, because the zone had a river going straight through the middle of it, right?
Yep. And that's exactly how you want to play these games. If you have priority over those big positions where basically you can have access to the bridge or any cross or something like that, even if it's not necessarily a bridge, but those are the best positions when there are those like 50-50 situations. You don't know which side is going to go on. And when you're controlling that access point on both sides, you've got free reigns. You've also often got free elimination point possibilities because people are going to try to contest that point. People are going to try to cross that point. That's definitely where you want to be. So I'm glad they found that.
Okay, let's take a look at the match rankings so you get an idea of how many points all the teams did get in this last one. As you see, 17 coming in for Passion Fruit with their 7 eliminations. Ace of Spades getting themselves 5. Puppeteers even getting themselves 5. And finally, Execute, man. I mean, I think Zute and I both had Execute predicted, though they didn't make it into top 3. Finally, nice to see them have a good match here on the day.
Yeah, good is, yeah, I mean, 10 points is 10 points, right? That's the one you want to be shooting for. That's that consistent number. They definitely need some much bigger games. They're behind, right? They've lost that margin. I don't want to just, they're not in the spot to just keep hitting 10 points anymore, right? They're in the spot where let's start racking it up a little bit more, but it's a great start.
Yeah, I think it was their crash against Canadian Eagles that really obviously was the turning point, because I think they lost kill switch in that fight, and then Ace ended up pushing over and then backing away, and I mean, Execute eventually, yeah, they finished off the game. Still got a decent amount of points. Looking on the list though, we see Canadian Eagles 1 point after really talking them up in the last game. And also another team we really haven't seen honestly much of is K19. I know they did have a decent stint last week towards the last 3 days, but I feel like they've been pretty quiet so far today and yesterday.
Quiet. Yeah, I mean, I barely even noticed them in the game out there, which is a shame. They've got that HH24 experience. I don't know if he's playing today, but yeah, I haven't seen much of them at all. Definitely expecting a little bit more from that team that has at least his mentorship to go off of.
Yeah,
and to build off
exactly.
of.
Let's take a closer look here at PASSIONFRUIT's player stats in this last match. I know I heard, Zute and Hotchuk's talking about BULUC being a potentially big, strong player for the team. And we're seeing him do kind of just that, right? 3 eliminations, doesn't have the 880 damage of Big Dog Nate over here. But he still at least puts up some good numbers.
Yeah, the stats aren't bad, but I mean, look at that headshot, man. That is an attractive young man right there. Wow. BULUC's got some model-looking pictures. Jeez.
Calm down. Remember, you signed a contract that you're only talking nice things about me on air and looks.
There's not enough room for 2 male models on this show. I'm sorry, my bad.
Do you think you could take BULUC in a fight?
Depends how tall he is. Probably. I'm gonna say yes. He looks soft. I look very tough and menacing, right?
Super tough and menacing, super tough. But obviously, it was great for them to start to step up here. I know they really struggled quite a few days, and they've had some struggling matches. But for me, obviously, the sign of a good team is a team that can turn things around, really focus on what they've been doing wrong, and hopefully they're able to continue this kind of pace going forward. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, a win is exactly what you want when you want to change momentums, right? This could very easily be the start of a continuation of good games. So let's keep it up. They've got the experience. Definitely, these are some of the most experienced players. So I still know them from the past. So let's hope they can use that experience and convert it into momentum. That's the most crucial part.
Oh man. Well, speaking of experience, some of the most experienced players we have in the lobbies, YKG, even though it might seem like they're not in the lobby sometimes, as we're going to look at their stats from yesterday compared to today, and it has been a slight uptick. I mean, obviously the survival time has been a massive change. For me though, their damage and eliminations, that's what's been kind of lacking. It seems like they've really lost some confidence, or at least the fights they're taking aren't working out as well for them, because they're just not on par with that like 7.5 average elims per game that they had looking at week 1.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely not what I'm talking to when I'm referring to consistency, right? Like, this is consistent, but in the wrong direction. They definitely need to step these numbers up. They're in a huge rut right now, and I keep saying this, but they've got to break out sooner rather than later. They're running out.
At least the upside for them though is that they're already, I mean, they would have to be in the bottom 4 overall to not make it into finals. And I think with just the points from week 1, that they're going to avoid ever being in the top 4, or sorry, the bottom 4. So they should be able to make it to finals no matter what. But obviously the amount of bonus points are going to be a major factor, because it came down to bonus points last season of who ended up winning the whole thing. So they definitely need to start racking this up, because their worst performance they had last season was a 2nd place. They had 2 first places beyond that. But you know what? There's still time. They still don't have that many points ahead of them to catch up if they want to move up the rankings even further. But obviously time will tell if they're able to do so. I believe we're about to head into our next match. I believe it's going to be Vikendi. And I believe our commentators are ready. And if they're not, I'm going to make them ready with a magic snap of my fingers. You ready for this one, even? I've been practicing this for 11 years now. I'm gonna snap my fingers, I'm gonna throw the casters, and they're gonna be there, and production's gonna switch the cameras, and it's gonna make it happen. You ready for this?
If this works,
okay,
I'll be
here
impressed.
we go. Here we go. We're gonna go to our casters, Hotchukes and Zute.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now we're here, not on camera, but we're here, Jason. That's what matters. That's what matters. I know we're here. I know you guys watching are here as well. Let's get it going in Vikendi. Let's get some hype in the chat, folks. I'm taking a look right now at this playing path, dead down the middle. Nothing too scary here. Now, again, no matter where this playing path goes, you could still land on every side of the map. But my question is always where that first circle is going to go, because we've already seen a massive, crazy first zone on that north east side. Like half the zone was in water. Are we going to see another one here, Zute?
I hope so, because yesterday we had a zone where it was all land. It was like dead center of the map.
Yeah.
And it was a very slow Vikendi game. Like, teams couldn't do much with it. It was like, we're all in zone. May as well chill even if we want to take a fight. So hopefully we get some type of circle that speeds things up just a little bit. I'm looking for like just any of the corners. Just anywhere but center, please.
Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's like the same one we had yesterday.
Pretty much, yep, the same exact one. Well, okay, so I mean, nothing too surprising for this team. So they're gonna know pretty much. They're gonna have a pretty good experience on what to do in this particular circle. You got in Hyper all the way down there by Winery. That's where they love to be. You got Execute right above them in Villanova. What I want to see more, Zute, which we haven't really seen here, is I want to see teams loot quick and camp vehicle rotations, especially in a map like Vikendi. I think that's a big wasted opportunity. I think teams just kind of go to their spot, wait, and then, just move as the zone pretty much, on their own accord. But I want to see some teams, do their homework, realize, okay, this squad lands here, this zone's here. They're most likely going to rotate through this direction. Let's try to beat them, cut them off, play it sneaky, and catch them out of a car on their way in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's tough. You got to lay like a really good trap because there's so many different ways to move around in Vikendi because it's so much landmass, right? It's not like you have just these chokehold positions. So the only way that's going to work, in my opinion, is if like you camp in a kind of riskier position. Because all the good camping spots, like on the high ground or like in compounds, teams know to just avoid that. And they won't just, freehand just rotate through that all willy-nilly. So it's a tough thing to do, camping rotations. But we'll see if some teams could pull it off. I personally think if they want to camp a rotation, you got to hold a huge split. Because you need a lot of info and you need to be able to like corral the rotation into the way you want.
I'll tell you what, though, the more homework you do, the better. The easier it is to do those kind of vehicle camping rotations. And you're right. I mean, you want to put yourself in a position where you strongly believe the team is going to drive through. And it's usually not in a main spot. It's usually an obscure road or pathing.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many teams catch them off guard. And we know it happens. In PMGC, we saw some of it. And I know that we could definitely see it in the future as well. So I want to see teams start to utilize that strategy because it's a big one, especially when the going gets tough and there's like a team you really need to take out early to get some to catch them up on the leaderboards. That's a really good strategy.
Speaking of strategy, I'm taking a look at the minimap. And one thing that I am noticing that's a little bit different from our previous Vikendi match, now that I'm taking a closer look, right, is that the circle is a little bit more to the eastern side than usual. So there's that large body of water right around Castle that might come into play. Hopefully it does. We do know the circles on Vikendi just kind of center up. And if the circle does center up, like normally, that water's going to be in play for quite a bit. So it does cut down the size of the first zone and the second zone going forward. So it might speed up the game just a tad bit. Hopefully we get a hard shift to the east side. That's going to speed things up a whole lot.
A whole lot, indeed. Let's see if that's what's going to happen here. A nice shift like that would be fun to watch. We're still waiting for that crazy castle finish again. We haven't seen one of those in a minute. We got close. We got close one day, but not close enough, in my opinion. Super Laser Reflex. Keep an eye out. You can see Long looking directly at Jason, hard scoping, and just trying to catch somebody slipping. Okay, that's an interesting window to peek. That's even interestinger. Wow.
Interestinger indeed.
Wow.
That's
You're about to get nitpicky hot jukes. You know what I'm saying? I was like, when it comes to this early game, just players looking in places that they just shouldn't be. That's something that grinds my gears.
Got to execute here. I want to see Execute play a little bit more central this time, potentially. Because, I mean, the last Vikendi match we had, right? N-Hyper took it so easily. It was almost a crime with how easily they took that game, just with the zones, right? And I think the teams that, do go back and watch that VOD, they're going to feel like it's a little unfair. Like, why? How do we keep letting N-Hyper get away with this?
It's wild.
So maybe more teams will play a bit center, especially in the almost the same exact zone as this. And it looks like that's what Execute's doing. Last time around, Execute kind of played around the edge and then slowly played it in. This zone, however, I'm seeing more teams in the center. And surprisingly enough, as if N-Hyper can kind of feel that out and predict it, N-Hyper are nowhere close to center because maybe they realize, hey, this time around, teams won't let us do that again. A lot of teams are probably close to the center and taking up those compounds, and that's exactly the situation playing out right now.
Yeah, I got to agree with you 100%. N-Hyper really got to be careful here. As Joey taking some nice shots. Oh, Honda skills of mine. Barely
Those looked
missed.
on shot.
Yeah. Uh-oh, he's in a bad place. Yeah, he knows that. He's like, oh, this is not enough cover for me. Goes into the building and waits it out. So YKG. Just big chilling. Even if they get this knock, there's no way Skills might push this, right?
No. I'd rather him do some tap fire at that range with
Right?
the G36. By the way, G36, I absolutely despise that weapon.
Hate it? Why?
Yeah, I just feel like it has the strangest recoil. It's like in between a SCAR and an M4. Where, like, I'd rather have the SCAR, which in my opinion has a little bit more recoil, so I could kind of, you know, predict it and pull down a little more. But the G36 is like hovering right in the middle and it throws me off. But anyways, BULUC CHABTAN about to get thrown off of their position. Down to just one player immediately. 4-2 NOMADS. Wow, with the aggression.
A nice return there, and a thirst. He tries to hop in the vehicle, but it's all parked up. He can't drive away. He's gonna have to jump out, make a play, and
that's scary. That's scary.
What is going on? Oh, I was about to say. I thought he made a play there. So he hopped the dodge, and was not able to go it on. This is some Austin Powers type of reversing right here. As Vic does, he is able to make it out.
I love how his first reaction after that fight, which is great actually, like from a competitive standpoint, is like, okay, we just saw what happened to that guy trying to, you know, do something with that car, so I'm gonna immediately repark this,
right?
So we're able to use it in case we need to. So good heads up play, you can almost say, reparking that vehicle. But man, I thought that car was about to explode and we were about to see like everybody just in the blink of an eye just gone.
Oh, worst case scenario for sure. You know, speaking of worst case scenario, PASSIONFRUIT
What
gone,
happened to him?
gone
Huh?
out of the
When?
game.
Where?
They disappeared. Poof, poof. K19 with 4 eliminations. 412 with 4 as well. That's BULUC CHABTAN and PASSIONFRUIT gone. So PASSIONFRUIT coming off a chicken dinner. Man, this is something that I think we're seeing a trend in the past couple of days, right, Zute? We're seeing a team win a game and then just get taken out early immediately the next game after.
That is so strange to me. Because we know PASSIONFRUIT is not a team that likes to fight early. And if anything, they're a team that if 1 or 2 players go down, they'll run away. So the fact that all 4 are gone on Vikendi, which is like, you know, a map that you could easily run away in, it confuses me what happened to them. But you're right, Jukes. They get the chicken, and then it seems like a trend. The next game, they do really bad.
It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart because it just kills all that momentum, right? And that's Jason is all about momentum. He's talked about it and the importance of it so much. And it's unfortunate to see them lose it here. Fetty, getting some shots on the YKG. YKG with a nice return. And let's see as Isajat is going for the first aid. LOTUS, just stuck in the spot. Trying to make a decision. What do you do, right? Do you try and eject, find a rotation? But Betty's knocked. He's going to get finished. And, yeah, LOTUS just looked to be just completely stuck.
I think LOTUS, especially knowing the fact it's YKG, they just prep for the push. And, whoa! That is... Oh, he didn't commit to it. He was playing a little bit too disciplined and didn't commit to the finish. 24K could have just got finished right there and then. So now LOTUS, I mean, do they wait for the 4v2, but they have the defensive advantage, or do they go aggressive? I think they have to end up waiting here. And, yeah, they're going to get that revive.
Take these points. You always want to hedge your bets here. And, you know, YKG just need to rack up some elimination points. I think that staying here, getting them, you know, this is Vikendi. Getting into the next zone's pretty easy on this map in particular because there's so much coverage. Yeah, it's a chat. Easy elimination right there. And now just push. Now just full send. All 4 right on down the hill. And it should be easy pickings. Garro's on the run. Yeah, but Isajat right behind him.
YKG cleaning this one up. It's not as cleanly or as easily as they usually do it, right? Like in week 1. I don't know if this is YKG just not as clean as week 1, or if it's actually just the other teams stepping it up and not being, you know, as free as points for YKG as they had in the first week.
I wonder what it is. Like, honestly, I'm going to go with theorizing, and I'm going to try to give them
maybe a mix of both.
Yeah, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Okay, You know, YKG dominating so far in this lobby. You know, maybe they're saying, okay, all right, you know, let's just try some new things out. Maybe throw some, you know, folks off the scent because, you know, when you are dominating and using every best strategy you have, you know, when you're at the top, you're the most studied squad. And YKG knows this from experience. So maybe they're trying to throw some teams off the scent. But even saying that out loud, it sounds ridiculous, right? It sounds ridiculous because of the PMGC points, right? Like, why would you even risk doing that? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I try to theorize on their behalf, but I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think they're just not playing as well as they did in the first week, and other teams are just stepping it up, right? Because first week jitters is a thing.
For sure.
And especially at this stage, PMPL is rather like lower on the competitive tournament stage, so you have a lot of fresher squads, more inexperienced squads, and that first week, that's when they're the weakest. That's when they're playing the most timid, and YKG just chewed them right up. Now, coming into week 2, they have a little more resolve. They're a little bit more warmed up, and YKG, you know, maybe they were just playing at 110% on week 1. So now they're only at like 90%. And the other teams are up to like 70% now, and it's starting to show, you know, that difference.
Oh, wow. Bomba getting popped out right there. Nice shot there from Baton. That has been the big star player here for MEZEXIS. And yeah, you know what? Honestly, also, you know, when you look at YKG and you look at their pushes and their setups, they just seem a little bit more gun shy to me, you know? Like not making the most crazy commits like they were earlier on. Maybe they have seen the lobby level up a little bit, and it's caused just the slightest little hesitation from them.
By the way, that water we were talking about,
Castle
still involved. Oh, it shifts off just a little bit, Jukes. But this area of the map, it's at least different from what we had last time. Now we have the high ground in play, right where execute is, and you got a lot of compounds on the low ground, and the circle could still shift. You know, a split between the north or south half of this, which will change things up drastically. So this is a very dynamic circle. Unlike what we had yesterday. So we're in for a treat now.
Oh, 100%, right? Right on top of Tovar. This is going to be a very fun zone to watch because there's still so much coverage here. I mean, it looks congested, like on the map. When you look at it, you think these teams are so close together. They have so much coverage that all these squads are big chilling. So I'm not going to be shocked if we don't see anything
full
crazy.
set.
Oh, never mind. YKG saying, all right, hey, Jukes, gun shy. Not us. Not us. We're coming to bring the heat, and now Wasted is going to be true to his name here as he goes down.
Okay, well,
That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see from YKG.
it's the least expected play that works the best, right? Just
True.
full send 4 in one car onto a vehicle. That's like season 0 strats. So you feel like everybody's evolved, and surely no one's just gonna, you know, 4-man full send a compound blindly. But it catches teams off guard nowadays.
It sure does. And it catches them off guard in a major way, right? Getting some big points on the board is what it's all about. And that's what I was saying, you know, like sometimes you just got to go back to basics, Ute. You know, just play together, make a big, vicious push when you have the man advantage, and it works. It works. When you overthink it, you try to do... Oh, goodbye. Kiddo got served that on a silver platter, and that's going to be Exotico out of there.
Man, I think that guy was just sightseeing. He was just, you know,
Right.
soaking in the beauty of the map.
Stood still.
Yeah, that's why you always gotta jitter around.
That's right.
Like that jitter is necessary. It's not like the nitpicky jitter Hot Jukes is talking about, where you jitter back and forth in the building. But you gotta keep those thumbs, you know, keep it moving. It really does throw off people's shots.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to jitter, just, you know, the shuffle, right? The little shimmy. Shimmy's important, but, you know, running around inside of a building and not, like, if Manbraid just turned around for, like, what? I don't know. I don't get it. You know, like, there's certain times where you just...
Oh, that circle shift, by the way.
Oh, that
Jukes.
circle shift is
That's a big one.
vicious, and it's a big one. It's a huge one for Execute. Execute really need to step up here and take advantage of it. You don't get zones like this very often, especially with so many teams up there in the north. They have a
they
huge
should be
opportunity to
taking that
gate
compound.
TPs.
They should be taking that compound that N Hyper just
that's
slipped in for
true.
free.
Oh,
Oh,
goodness.
man. They had full vision of everything. They know for sure there was no one at that compound because not a single shot from there. They've been looking at it the whole time. No cars, nothing. And, like, I mean, Execute, they can still win this match very easily. They take firm control of that high ground, start cleaning things up, and win the match, but I want to see them do something more simple, like just taking center zone, and Hyper just took it for free right
YKG, so he's trying to get some free eliminations as Joey, wow, putting some good suppressive fire on there. I'd like to see him tap these, but he's, you know what? He's Joey. He said, I do what I want to do. I'm full spraying, trying to get these hit markers.
He's trying, but there's that wall. Play zone takes down XEZ. Joey backing on up, backing on up, backing on up. Like, okay, we got to rotate now. I want to see what YKG does here because they're so far away from the zone. They have zero info on where to go, what's going to happen. So they're going to have to make that full set play. Hopefully they don't get shot down here because I want to see them crash something and do some damage somewhere. And oh my gosh, Jukes.
Joey's on fire. He better not tap into a rock. He just taps it. Yeah. You see
it's a chat is like, I'm out of here.
No, thank you. That's too close for comfort. Oh, that reminded me of a game where Powerbang and I were playing, and he just drove with that thing on fire. And he said, I'm good. Hidden invisible rock. Gone.
MEZEXIS do hear that, though, and there's another team. Execute. They heard the pull-up as well. And YKG, they're not in the zone yet. So the defenses from either side, if they go north or south, has time to set up, and they're going to go into Execute. Fate is in a huge position, but he gives his position away, but
Nice
it's
nade.
with a good nade.
He's got to watch out, though, because he knows that utility's coming in his direction.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see him, detract from that, not stay a little bit too long. That usually is his issue. Kill switch getting knocked. This gotta hurt. Where is the rest of Execute to defend against this?
Surely they're coming now.
Where's
No, they're
Tricky
still
Casper?
splitting.
What are you? Oh my! Fake. Okay, that's so fortunate that Fake clutched this. So fortunate that Fake clutches this, and he does the 1v3. Beautiful play from Fate. That is how you do it when you make the worst decision as a team, right? Sometimes you have the player just get it done by himself.
Oh man, it's kudos to Fate. And I said this in the broadcast at some time earlier, I feel like Fate can really shine as just a fragger. And you saw right there those moments where he has that clutch skill, that clutch potential. But the rest of the team, you were saying it, where are they? What are they doing? I think they're worrying too much that a team might slip in
Too much.
and take that compound. But chances of Fate going down there very high, and you're down to 2, and then what are you going to do, right?
And then you got YKG coming for you. Literally
Yeah, exactly.
coming for you to 3v1 Trick and then 3v1 Casper. So, yeah, a very doing too much play. And this is the team I chose to win the match in the last circle. And I did it reluctantly, okay? They had a good position. They had a great opportunity to gatekeep. So I chose them. But, man, I'm starting to regret it here because it is not looking too good with this decision-making. They got to group together and make some plays.
Yeah. Trick trying to make some plays here. They lose that zone. So they have info from previous, using that high ground. So hopefully they have some idea of what they're going to do now that they lose the circle. But MEZEXIS is coming in, and yeah, there's no cover out here. And just look at Hyper.
There we go. Oh, and Hyper chilling.
Hyper, big showing. That could be Execute. That could be Execute.
Oh, look,
right
look,
there.
and Hyper was the choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Hyper was the obvious one, but I was like, you know what? With Execute's position, it's so good that if I'm going to pick them one time, it's got to be now, So let's see if they can pull it together here, work together as a team. They have some high ground advantage. They are going to end up having to beat out Hyper at the bottom if they can even get to this final zone because BOPE is on the other side with 3 players up, and they have 5 eliminations already.
Yeah. Trick picking one up right there, so they're making progress on their way into zone. And they'll get the edge of it just barely. Next zone, though, if they don't get the zone, they got to go down, and Hyper's shooting at everybody right now.
That's what you're supposed to do. That is what you're supposed to do, folks, when you have a zone like this. Stand up straight, shoot everything in sight. Make so much pressure that players can't move a muscle. And Hyper getting blessed with this zone once again. They should have this one in the bag here, as they're doing a great job of applying suppressive fire in every direction. Supra trying to catch a sneaky shot through the edge of that smoke there. And look at this compound coverage. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a fortress right now.
Could have been executed.
And
Could have been executed.
could have been. But honestly, you know, I wouldn't even say NHyper is getting blessed. They just know how to rotate and take advantage, right? Like they went for a far rotation on that hard shift. They took advantage of the hard shift, and they get rewarded for it. No one else is ready.
Trick getting caught. That is going to be it for execute. Yeah,
I don't
with
think
this
that
zone,
revive is going to happen.
They are done for, yeah. Trick's gone. Fate getting a really nice clutch play. You got to give it to Fate there, right? He got it done against YKG. Beautiful, but, you know, this is going to be the end of their run now. All eyes are in that direction. So they're gone. K19 has a full squad up, and they're playing it pretty quiet from the south side.
Crash.
Yeah, they're going to have to crash that. There goes Execute out in 5th place. Still 4 teams remaining.
HH24 leading the crash. He's in the car. He's in the lead.
Good job from
NHyper. Oh, look at where NHyper's looking. All 4 looking towards this direction right now. They have such good prioritization of where to look as a team, right? They took care of the other team. They know the zone's closing now. They know, okay, now this is when that team on the south side will push. Now all 4 of them looking that way to mount the defense. And he's going to even step out to the side. GK first gets taken down. K19 have a shot at this.
Those better been smokes from K19, because if those were smokes on NHyper's part, those were really bad.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, those were really tough smokes. They eliminated the sight lines of NHyper. Nice nade there from Trip. Trip is up close and personal here. And this is a battle that is really bad for both squads. The longer this goes out, the bigger chance they are going to get third party by BOPE, because BOPE is just staring in this direction, and they are licking their lips right now.
BOPE needs to be ready to do that third party. And Hyper back up a little bit, though, because they feel they could sense K19 isn't pushing hyper aggressive. So, and Hyper is actually going to look the other way. I saw some shots going into BOPE, so that's going to slow them down. A new circle goes into no man's land.
Wow.
All 3 teams.
Oh, what a shift.
There might be a rock or something for BOPE to take advantage of. Yeah, you can see Fuego already heading that way.
Nice. Yeah, Fuego securing that position.
Huge.
Oh, this is it. That's a BOPE chicken dinner now. Papa Blue just saying, NHyper, we've blessed you enough, okay? And nice nade on the Tukey. But you know what? At this point, you need to be focusing on eliminations, because winning this game is going to be tough.
Yeah. I want to see NHyper now try and really focus and push in K19. And Trip.
Nice nade from Trip.
Yep. Back to the stalemate.
Trip holding that angle. Ophelia almost getting knocked there, but it was able to make it. So BOPE is just set up. They're waiting. They're like some sharks in the water. They smell fresh meat, and it's K19 and NHyper looking like some juicy tunas right now, as they're going to battle it out.
Both NHyper and K19 should realize we're dead. We're done for.
GG,
we just have to take out the other team, being, you know, one of those 2, get the points. They should not even worry about BOPE.
And
just
Hyper
get the points
splitting
right here.
And Hyper splitting focus. They're trying to focus. They have one player focusing inwards, and they have Rin focusing on the backside. Supra does make the play coming up close. This is kind of risky here on this off angle. Blue zone is coming. He's going to have to go ahead and push up. Kindness with a nice nade. HH24 getting burned alive.
Oh,
Supra
man.
getting eliminated. That does open up NHyper, but Papa Blue just is about to put in some work. They're going to be forced out into the open.
Oh, they have a chance?
I'm surprised to see Ophelia even go for that painkiller right there. It makes no sense. There's no way that you don't just take suppressive shots. You know where they're coming from. There's no way BOPE lose this game.
I guess that's why NHyper is focusing on both fronts. They just know they're better. They know they could 2v3 a squad and 1v2 the outside and to keep up the pressure.
This is such a throw from BOPE. Such a throw. They had this game in the bag. All you do is just suppress a fire, the wall, and they're done for. Here he goes, throwing some stuff outside. but NHyper are set up. They have this little itty bitty hill to their name and the man advantage. This is insane.
Oh
Down
my God.
goes BOPE.
They're gonna go down to the blue.
Wow. Talk about giving chicken dinner away. Ophelia's gonna get that first aid off, but oh wait.
The double spray.
Oh,
No.
okay, all right. A little too close for comfort, but that's a chicken dinner on the side of NHyper, and that one was earned. Wow, what a play.
Man, just
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about BOPE.
like I know. Okay, BOPE definitely could have played that so much better, but I gotta give a little bit of credit to why they couldn't, which is NHyper. NHyper, you know, any other like you and I were both saying NHyper should just focus on K19. There is no way they're making it into that zone. They should just smoke off the side of BOPE and focus on K19. But NHyper, they're just putting shots everywhere, and it was enough to suppress BOPE and make them scared to not take advantage of a huge advantage position that they had.
Oh, it's crazy to see Ophelia up here with the most eliminations, highest damage, and not getting the chicken dinner. It's wild to see. I mean, yeah, I see your perspective here, Zoo, but in my opinion, that's just a throw. That is just a huge throw. I think majority of squads in this lobby, 9 times out of 10, should win that fight. I mean, you just throw offensive smokes on that line. You just go and throw a whole bunch of utility there. You just pre-fire the wall. Blue zone's at your advantage. You don't even let them get close. They shouldn't have even been able to make it over
They had
that wall.
K19 to deal with as well.
Yes. Like, the pressure that they could have applied is so wild. Uneven. Jason, I'm wondering what you have to think about that. We're going to find out right now after these highlights.
We got Hot Chicks talking about the BOPE choke. But I feel like the real choke this match was Zute and Hot Chicks' prediction. Because why didn't you pick NHyper? And even you picked NHyper like I did. Feels good to win, doesn't it?
It does. I think, is that 2 in a row for me? I'm on a streak. I'm changing the momentum, though.
Calm down, Mr. 1 out of 5,
out.
Mr. 20% prediction rate yesterday. But you are getting some points back. I got to give you that. Let's take a look at the match rate, see how many points the teams did get besides our prediction points. Obviously, NHyper closing things out with their 4 eliminations. Not the most amount of points, but they still get the chicken dinner and extending their lead even more up against Extreme Slayers. But BOPE, you know, 16 points. It's not bad, but honestly, it should have been 20. Well, even more than 20 if they got the last 3 players out of NHyper. It would have been 23.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm beginning to see that this is a recurring pattern with NA, right? These late games, in my opinion, is the part of these games that need the most work. I keep seeing mistakes. I keep seeing teams not closing out these wins when they're supposed to, right? Right here, this was a perfect example of like, no, there wasn't enough cohesion between the teammates. They were both doing 2 different things. There was 2 plays to make. Either you play for the zone and you wait and you let the blue push NHyper out, or you guys push the compound and execute them all together. They did half and half. The half that went and tried to eliminate NHyper got eliminated in turn. They got knocked, and then those 2 guys that were playing inside the zone and waiting just kind of stood there and had nothing to do, nothing to say about it, and lost the game because of that. Don't love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you had NHyper fighting K19, and you would imagine that's either like the perfect moment to just send it and go, or to all wait back. And obviously both, they maybe a little bit miscall, maybe I think of Supra, just like kind of try to take advantage of the situation, try to be the star. But I mean, in the end, they still get a lot of points. It could have been a little bit more. Hopefully that doesn't come back and bite them in the butt when it comes to potentially getting extra bonus points if they are going to be in the running for that. But let's maybe jump into NHyper's player stats really quickly again, just to kind of see who's been able to really stand out in this last match. And it's just always kindness. Like I don't even have to question this anymore. He's always gonna have the most damage and limbs on the team.
Yeah, you know, this is pretty typical because simply they picked that compound in the center. You know, Vikendi playing center in Vikendi is always the best option, right? It's a very center focused map, so they kind of didn't have to move. They kept getting zoned again and again. That's why you're not seeing too many elimination points, not seeing too many opportunities. They're basically just turtling. They don't have to move, so they're not doing it. Waiting for that opportunity to strike, and then just eliminating those very, very crucial eliminations that lead to them winning the game. So,
see, this is the difference to me almost, and maybe I'm like over exaggerating the difference between like NHyper and Extreme Slayers. Like seeing Remix rock up in a car and 1v1 someone, that wouldn't fly in regionals. NHyper, they probably could have pushed out and got more limbs if they wanted. They probably could have got more aggressive and made a bigger play, but that wouldn't necessarily work in a higher tier tournament. So they're playing the situation out as if it was going to be your Americas or if it was your PMGC, instead of going for what they know would work in NA. They're going for what would work, you know, in a global event.
Yeah, you know, you always got to find that balance between controlled aggression and playing for the win. You know, especially with this system that we have. You know, where 10 placement points for wins. You know, the kills are very valuable, but you can always take those 10 placement points with a win. Plus, you're always going to get a couple in the very late game. So I don't mind this strategy at all. If they can consistently get those chicken dinners, it's going to work out in their favor. Yeah.
Let's take a look at overalls though, and it just, when you talked about 10 points for chicken dinner, it threw my mind back to where it used to be 20, and that was just insane. That was a long time ago.
What about when it used to be 30?
I don't think I was doing PUBG Mobile when it was 30.
Yeah, that was a very long time ago. Those were huge points for the wins.
Man, that's insane. But we can see here it's also insane. And NHyper going to be on a 21-point lead against Extreme Slayers. Again, not much of a gap built up this time like we saw last week, but a gap is starting to form between that first and second place team. We can see Ace of Spades still sitting in third, Execute in fourth, PASSIONFRUIT up to fifth place. Not a bad result here out of Passion so far.
Yeah, they're definitely stepping it up. I like to see this, and I think they're building momentum slowly and surely, and let's hope that it, you know, continues to increment consistently as well. But it is important to note that I'm pretty sure NHyper now are overall, including both phases, are firmly in the first place. They're really running away from YKG right now.
If you looked at the momentum meter at a PASSIONFRUIT, it is at an all-time high. But I have to ask you, Uneven, if you were a fruit, what fruit would you be then?
Oh man, what a question. Wasn't expecting that one. I'm long, I'm skinny, I'm white. I'd say I'm a banana.
I don't know where that was going. I got really confused. That was a roller coaster of emotions. I would be a durian because I'm stinky, but I am delicious.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
YKG 16th place at the moment. They have played all their matches today, so they won't be playing in the next one, but they get themselves 26 points. So 16 or lower what can be happening from this one. Wall Street Bets Gaming, though, I'm a little bit confused. 16 eliminations, man. This team came out the gate swinging in week 1. They put up some decent eliminations, but they've not been able to replicate that here in week 2. I wonder if that's just due to the other teams getting better, or maybe the way that we're VOD reviewing wasn't correct, but there's a lot of potential in this team. There's a lot of potential in some of these teams that are at the bottom of the leaderboard. They just haven't really shown up here in week 2.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of the game, you know. Maybe sometimes it's an overperformance on a week, sometimes it's an underperformance on this one, but the real top teams are the guys that manage that consistency, right?
Yep.
And that's always the case. So I'm not surprised to see a lot of shuffling, especially in that lower half, in very drastically different performances. You know, everyone's pretty good. Everyone's gonna get those games or, you know, those couple of days where they do well. You know, these are professionals.
Okay, well, you know who's also professional? Our commentators, because our final match here of day 2 of phase 2 is underway. Hot Jukes and Zute. What fruits would you be if you had to be a fruit?
Zute?
Yeah.
You want to answer first? What kind of fruit would you be?
I'll let you take the spotlight on this one.
I think you should go first.
I'm thinking. Well, okay, I'll approach it the way Uneven did, and
okay,
whatever comes, whatever happens. Okay, so Uneven just, well, he said it. He's long, skinny, white, banana. I am short, not skinny, but not too big. So I would be a smaller banana.
Nice. A little mini bananas.
I don't know, Jukes. I don't know.
It. I love it.
I blame
Well, if
Jason.
we're going with that,
I
then
blame
we're going.
Jason for this. He knew this was a bad idea, and he brought it up again.
Yep, way to go, dude. Well, if we're going that route, I guess, I don't know, is it coconut a fruit? Because, you know, I'm round, I'm brown, and I'm hard-headed, baby. Well, let's go. Well, let's get it going. All right, well, let's see, you know, if, you know, speaking of fruit, passion fruit, wake up, right? You had a nice chicken dinner, one game on Erangel. And this zone is a juicy one as it goes down. Military circle, baby. Let's get it going.
Yeah, hey, this is the third military circle now. This is a lot. We've seen a lot of military zones. Teams should know to get here fast. They should know how to get here safely by now. So we'll see what happens. We know in Hyper, they always make it across really well. Teams I'm looking at in particular, right? Execute. Are they ready for this circle? Because they're all the way up in that northwestern zone. HH24, he just wants some points, man. I think he tagged up Clown, and he's just like,
come on, dude.
Yeah,
I want one.
Knowing HH, man, he's definitely one of those players. His mental right now is just like, man, I just want this over with. Just give me some points. I want to just put up some frags. I don't even care anymore. Like I could see HH being in that mind state right now.
HH24 is hungry. He said, you know what? I need some eliminations. And Cesar, you know, getting pieced up like that. Oh, actually, no, it's Clown. That's right, HH24. Oh, Dookie ends up catching him. HH said, that's mine.
Yep.
That was my elimination.
I had him first.
Uh-oh. Skur. Caught off guard a little bit out of position. Just trying to buy some time. This is the right play. Just chill. Just chill.
Yep.
Wait for your team to come to you. You're good.
Yeah, and they got to hurry up, by the way. They're making a lot of noise here, and this is right next to the bridge where teams are going to be swinging by really soon. 412 Nomads already at the bridge. And looking like 412 might camp the bridge, too. I'm taking a look at the minimap.
You're going to watch out. Yeah, Jimmy's coming on for that off angle. So right now, if you're scared, the only thing you're trying to do is just buy time. You're doing a great job. Just wait for the rest of your team to come help you out. You're going to be good to go. They are starting to make the push, though. HH24 and Tuki better get there quick. Because Skur is about to get caught off guard. Oh, he's forced to make a play. And wow, Jimmy there. K19, I think that's a bit of a misplay. Just took way too long there to support their teammate.
Yeah, Skur could have also backed up a little bit too, but I mean, he did a good job stalling for so long. The rest of the K19 on foot, I think they got here as fast as they could. So we'll see how the rest of the fight goes out. Now it's a 3v3. Could have been better. HH24 with only 29 shots left, and he's not expecting this nade.
Bop! Goodbye! Wow, Speedfire turning things around on K19. That's gotta hurt. Look at Trip with the big angle up top. He's playing it very quiet. He's shimmying. He's giving away his position. They're waiting. He's waiting. He's waiting. Jimmy's coming to the smoke. Jump shot. Bop! There's one. Ooh. Nice thirst. He said that's for HH. And this one's for HH24. Switches guns to the B zone. Gets the thirst. And wow. Puts in some more work. Trip, 1v3? One more. The Bison. He gets the hit marker. Gets the thirst too. Beautifully done.
There's a revive going out.
No way.
From his teammate. His teammate isn't rushing over here to help.
Trip's got this. He said, you know what? You got it, Trip. Don't worry.
Oh.
You got this, buddy. You got this. Wow. Trip. Beautifully done. All by himself. Takes down Speedfire.
If I was Trip, I'd be mad. If I was Trip, I am exiting the game right now.
No way.
I'd be like, are you guys serious? I'm here doing a 1v3 and you're getting a revive.
You know what? I think he's thinking the opposite. I think he's thinking, guys, you know what, dude? Thank you for believing in me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe thank you for believing in me so much to let me do this all by myself. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Trying to get that extra $500. You know what I'm saying? For the highlight play. That's what they were saying. Go for it. Go for it, man. You got this. 1v3. He did it.
Maybe it was HH. Maybe HH was like, I'm the star player here. You better get this revive. Do you not know who I am?
Yeah, that's right. You know who
I'm
I am?
HH24, Tukey. You better come over here and revive me.
I'm safe. I'm safe.
I'm safe. That call out.
That call out's the
Ooh.
best call out ever. Dong goes down.
Dong.
That's tough. The Dong show ends early. You hate to see it.
Well, Execute, they have a plan, which is not get on Military Island, but put up some trap plays, pick up points elsewhere. I respect it. They already have 2.
Already have 2 Puppeteers spread out amongst George, with Execute rocking a little bit of a split of their own. They're going to be coming into the zone super late, and you know it kind of begs the question, because normally Execute, they were kind of fighting out Primorsk with YKG, right?
Yep.
But YKG's not in here, so I'm surprised to see them not decide to take that
Oh,
spot.
Plane Path.
Yeah, Plane Path was a little north.
Yeah, it started off north, so it was the immediate drop for them. And you can't predict, military zone. So
Yeah, they should have sensed it coming. What can I say? Another bad call out from Fate. I'm just kidding. All right, imagine, right? Just having to predict where the zone goes. I mean, it's a part of the job, right? You have to kind of guess. But I mean, a hardship off a plane path is always a brutal one. And you can see right now, teams doing a great job. I think we're seeing a lot of squads get down to military rather quickly. BULUC CHABTAN obviously here. Wall Street Bets and Hyper is all the way down on the south side. So there's only a few teams remaining. Actually, it's going to be 6 squads that are still not in this military island zone. I wonder which teams are going to opt to try and take a boat, but I'm pretty sure most of the boats are already taken by K-19.
Execute, they always favor that boat crossing. They'll usually end up in Primorsk and grab a boat late. We'll see if they alter their plans a little bit. They are coming into the zone now, which is very far away from military base, as you can see here. MEZEXIS camping the bridge a little bit, and I think they kind of have to, because Butterfly Effect on the opposite side are camping that in. SLR on the eastern bridge, looks like they're not going to camp the north side. They might just camp the south side, but they are making that rotation across. That does leave a lot of teams, What are they going to do?
What are they going to
Extreme
do?
Slayers, in particular, are they going to slay their way across the bridge? I mean, that's a team that could pull something like that off, but it'd be hard.
They're going to have to. They're going to have to. Meanwhile,
Oh my gosh.
goodness. Wow. All right. It's that kind of game. We're going to finish up with that kind of game. This is a brutal circle. It's cut the amount of spots available in half. And there's a lot of hillside here. There are a few little compounds spread amongst this area that are going to be pretty solid. But for the most part, you're going to have to hold a hill and hold it down pretty quickly here. And MEZEXIS gatekeeping this bridge. You can see Extreme Slayers. Oh, Crow gives it away. But, I mean, it wasn't like it was much of a secret with how they're spread out right now.
Yeah. Freddy coming in here, so Extreme Slayers they don't have to come into this fight. They're not too invested just yet.
What a nade from Crow. Wow.
Ooh, with Freddy going down, this might just be the call-off. Yeah, you can see Robert
Bye-bye.
already repositioning. Yeah, that slows everything down.
Or not. Or hi. He's pushing. He's pushing. And does catch up to Inactive. Inactive spread out by himself. They can 2v1 him here.
They're not gonna... MEZEXIS isn't gonna fill in off that knock. They're just gonna...
Question mark?
They're still gonna just hold far back in their split angles. Now they're reacting, but it's a little bit
Too late.
slow, in my opinion. Yeah, Nactus already... Okay, now you pull up, but the other team is ready for it.
Yep.
And they hear it,
And they're full reset. So now it's no longer a 4v3, it's a 4v4. And you're pushing up. Yeah, just overall way too slow here. Inactive is now forced to make a crazy play. Tries to get the bounce nade off.
Yeah, this is a prime example of you just reacting to the enemy instead of being proactive and thinking about what is the enemy going to try and do to take advantage of us now. Like, what can they do? And then you do it preemptively to counter it. So MEZEXIS really dropping the ball here. Inactive could do amazing clutch up, like we saw earlier, a 1v3. And there goes down one of Extreme Slayers. Gets thirsted as well, gets the second one. Okay, Inactive making some hero plays right now for the team.
He is owning. Look at him go. Inactive. Making plays right when he needs to. That
Oh,
nade was
that
a little bit
nade.
dangerous. Wow.
So close.
But yet so far. And look at Remix on the off angle, just watching his team go out little by little. Now it's just him and Robert GG, and now they're getting pushed. So MEZEXIS coming on up. I believe I did see a third party. Nice shot
Whoa.
there from Remix. Oh, and the angle as well. So MEZEXIS, it's all up to an active. He does get the knock. Goes for the thirst, the drop shot. Not going to get it done. And here comes Excuse to clean this fight up.
Easy cleanup. Except they do have to deal with Remix. Remix could do something here. They're all in the blue zone. Look at that zone.
Oh, Kai with the nade instantly onto Remix. So bye-bye, Remix. 4 eliminations for Excuse and an easy rotation on in. They do have to watch out, though, because Butterfly Effect is camping this. Chronix is coming, but Butterfly Effect, they're waiting.
They see the elimination feed. They might have put the 2 and 2 together. Like, hey, we got more people coming across the bridge right now. And Chronix.
Chronix barely able to make it through, but gets knocked instantly. And Kai on the back end gonna eat a whole bunch of blue zone. This is only circle number 3, so you can eat a little bit of blue here. And D, wow, some great shots here. Like Passion Fruit goes down. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, you can eat blue zone, but you can't eat the bullets. The bullets
That's
still
not- yeah.
hurt just as much. And they did get a knockback. By the way, Execute are on a bridge, and with that zone, or in a boat, with that zone being so far in the water, everyone's lined up on the coastline. So Execute's in a really difficult spot now.
Yes, they are. Let's see how they opt to play this one here, because yeah, the whole entire coast is taken up, especially with this circle. Let's see how they get in. Excuse still looking to try and make something happen here.
Excuse is resetting.
Yeah, they
Butterfly
got the
effect
reset
is
off.
Yeah, Butterfly effect is like
Chronix,
losing.
Maybe no, he's gonna go down. Yep.
Is that player just waiting for the perfect time? There's a Butterfly effect player on the bridge. He's right there.
He is. Oh, he's knocked.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's knocked. Ooh,
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, super unfortunate. Looking at the ridgeline here, Execute does make it on in, so they do survive. And I believe, yes, they lose 1 in the process, so they had to sacrifice. Looks like it was Trick. That's going to be a tough player to lose here. Casper getting absolutely beamed from 3-point. It's going to be up to Fate up close to make something happen. He's going to throw this nade, and right now he's just trying to buy some time for his teammates to get the res off, but with that knock on the kill switch, it's over. It's literally just Fate all by himself with a DBS. Ooh,
He did it last time.
Oh, that's S12K and wasn't enough. So Execute eliminated quite early here in 12th place.
Yeah, that rotation usually works, but in this circle is just the perfect disaster for them. So far on this coastline that teams are going to be set up here looking for that rotation. HH24, he's revived, and he's as aggressive as ever. You can see this man just really wants to put up some elimination points.
I think he should have kept running forward. I think he should have just stood still for a second, you know? And I think he would have hit that shot. But that run forward while shooting just messed with that recoil just a little bit. Next in the zone does come on over. And it is going to be on this hillside here. So you can see 4-1-2, big heads-up play, immediately moving to one of the most dominant positions in this map early on. But that is going to be a spot that's definitely going to get contested, so they got to be careful.
Definitely so. Excuse not in the zone. All the way in the north, they might push that high ground right where Butterfly Effect is. Exotico looking like he's going to think better of it. Yeah, he can't hold that all by himself. He might find a dip to play in. There's not much to work with here. This zone is pretty starved of hard cover.
Not a lot of cover at all. Just those hilltops,
look at this.
hilltops, trees, and making some plays. Wall Street Bets do have this compound. This is going to be a strong spot here, but, I mean, this is still only Circle 4. Circle 4. So, I mean, it's going to definitely tighten up here in the next few seconds. 3 seconds left on the clock. Zone is going to start closing. And there are some teams still not in it. You know, Excuse is barely creeping their way in. BULUC CHABTAN as well. They're going to have to play it a little bit carefully here as Liu Zhang gets a nice knock. Oh, but a nice return knock from LOTUS. So LOTUS and PUPPETEERs battling it out.
Yeah, mostly long-range engagements right now. That will lead to some sort of push. You can see SLR right there. Going back for the revive. They are in zone.
Wow.
Puppeteers taken out. SLR finishing that one up very nicely. Most of the teams are in zone, so they're going to wait for the next circle shift because there's not much more room to maneuver around in here, right? There's no big spots you could, push up to. There's just of course, all the hard compounds or hard cover is taken. So it's like a hurry up and wait type of situation for a majority of these teams.
Exactly. They just got nowhere to go. Oh, hurry up and wait. Why don't we hurry up and get this team out of here as BULUC CHABTAN are starting to apply some pressure onto Excuse. They recognize the weakness here. They do have the advantage of being able to apply this pressure using utility. Rosh has the off angle. I think Rosh is going to be critical in this fight, especially with one good nade. It's all it's going to take, but that's if he doesn't get naded himself.
Yeah. Making a little bit of noise, they instantly know he is there. They don't know this is a 3-man team of Excuse, though, so BULUC is going to play this a little bit more careful. I like how they're pushing this location, though. They know they have 4 up. They know even if there's 4 up here, it's an even fight. And with this position, sure, it's on the edge, but it gives them vision of the entirety of the zone. So this is a crucial spot for them to fight for.
Taking a lot of time to finish this fight off, though. That's the question. I mean, they are on the north side. There's nobody nearby, so they don't have to worry about that third party. I think that's why they're taking so much time. At the same time, though, you want to be able to make a plan for this next zone. So the sooner you get this fight done, the better. They know they have to take it eventually, so I don't know why they're being so patient.
Well, they're throwing the nades. Now the smokes come out for the first line of pushing. So it's pretty textbook. Could be just a little bit faster, but they're doing it by the playbook, and now it just comes down to execution. The team synergy. Are you guys going to peek one at a time when you push in? Or at least have a trade? And better yet, just have no one get knocked at all and with the superior mechanical skills. Zone's about to shift, so time is running out for them a lot. Actually, that gives them a bit more time. Zone is very close by.
Yep. That zone being so close allows both these teams to kind of just big chill right now. Just big chill, act as neighbors. I think BULUC CHABTAN recognizes this. They're like, hey, you know what? We got zone. Why don't we just circumvent them and then we can gatekeep them on the way in? Not a bad idea.
And with the blue zone on their backside, really close to them, it closes slower. So they have even more options to work with right now. So lucky break for BULUC, but they still got to do the execution correctly. They could still end up, really throwing this game. Excuse with 3 is nothing to, shake a stick at. They're still a strong team here with 3. And they're going to just, like you said, circumvent this a little bit, edge into the zone on the lower ground side, and use Excuse has like neighbors as info. Because now they won't be pushed over the top by anyone because Excuse is going to continue to hold this spot down against all the other enemy teams.
That's what you're supposed to do, and sometimes it's the best decision. Just, hey, let the team survive, use them almost as temporary teammates, and then, when the going gets tough, always keep an eye on them because you might be able to get a sneaky knock and take them out, but, it's better to use them rather than take the fight early, lose 3 players, and then get third party. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
And with that zone shift, the third party could easily come in for
For
like
sure.
a team like Lotus, who's now not in the zone and closest to them. But these two teams are still isolated at the top. Lotus finding zone on the low ground, not looking to push up anymore. So Excuse and BULUC, are they going to be friendly neighbors? Or are they just going to, yell at each other a little bit and then maybe one of them gets their feelings hurt and then it's going to be an all-out fight?
Well, right now, the storm is happening. Meanwhile, 4-1-2 putting in some work down range. Getting some nice eliminations. It looks like one of the Nomads does get knocked. That's going to be 7 so far. Canadian Eagles out of there. So half the lobby has been eliminated. We're in zone number 5. Wall Street Bets now forced to leave this super comfy and cozy compound. And they're about to go into the battleground. Let's see how they make this rotation. It is late, and Super Laser Reflex, I'm surprised Long did commit to those shots. I think he's just so worried about getting knocked right here rather than being able to get the knock himself.
Really heads up by Long. And instant he saw that push coming, he's like, okay, I need to fight this, but I also need to smoke out my back angle. So Long just so quick with the heads up thinking. That's why he's such a dominant player.
Yeah, speaking of Long, right? Which team do you think is going to get the most eliminations, Zute? That is the question, because Long has gotten a lot so far in this tourney, but there's a lot of teams looking to rack some up as well. Super Lazy Reflex still has 4 up and are looking to apply some more pressure. And we're watching this battle between Excuse and BULUC CHABTAN. They're just happy to be neighbors for now. And we'll see if this zone goes off of them. I think that's going to be like the gunshot in the air that's saying we're off and let this fight begin.
Yep. Both teams has been sharing this position for far too long now. Wall Street Bets down to 1. They went for the push against them, and Wall Street Bets gets cut down immediately. Lotus actually wiping both teams over there on that eastern side. So Lotus with good eastern side control. New zone pops up. 4-1-2 getting that perfect zone right where they want it. NHyper, are they still? I think NHyper's still in zone at the compound. And here's that fight we've been waiting for. BULUC coming out over the top. Down to a 1v1. No, 2v1. Rosh is all that's up.
Poppy Sour showed up big. Oh, I thought he was going to go ahead and hit the no-scope AM24. That would have been crazy. But no, Poppy Sour with the S12K. Getting it done right there. Beautiful finish there for BULUC CHABTAN. That's Excuse eliminated. And now this north side is good. For a second, I thought Lotus was going to get in that mix at third party, but they said, you know what? We got to prioritize this circle first.
Yeah, they look for it, which is great to see. Always looking for the opportunity to take more when possible. They're forced to back up. They were exposed sightlines-wise to NHyper as well, going that far up the side of the hill. HH24.
Oh, just gave away his position. That one smoke is all it takes, and that's what it is, folks. Sometimes those smokes are not the best play. You throw it right on you, all it does is just, it's like a big old flare in the air that says, hello, boys, here I am.
Yeah, also, if you realize you're in a bad spot, just move back.
Yeah, just shoot
Yeah, the smoke is not going to be hard cover. And players of this caliber, they will beam you through a smoke. Especially when it's NHyper.
Oh, yes, they will. Oh, a nice shot there from Tuki. Applying some pressure to the Nomads. He does give away his position, though. Kind of a bold thing. I think it would have been smarter to just play a little bit more quiet because this zone could probably go away from them. Yeah. But maybe he was trying to get that knock and then do a full send push. To each their own. Still risky.
If the team was ready for a push, that would have been a good time to take the shot. Hopefully, you know, he didn't just take it on his own. And then HH is still getting revived. And it's like, okay, let's push. I got an opening. But you can't, right? So either way, they have the zone for now. They're most likely have to do that push. And you're right, Tuki's position is given away. So they're not going to expose themselves to that angle anymore for free.
No, they will not. And they're going to be prepared, especially if the zone goes off of them, which it most likely will. Nomads are going to be staring in this direction, ready to soak up these points. BULUC CHABTAN doing some circles right now, some donuts right now, and waiting for this next zone. Miner trying to find an angle here. He has this entire lay of the land here, so he's got nothing to worry about. That's pretty quiet from Lotus. Well, Lotus has 5 eliminations so far. They're on the other side of the map, and they have controlled it quite a bit, so they haven't had to worry in a little while here.
Yeah, and NHyper actually, I thought they had a compound that they were working with, but no, they're just all in the open. Just finding rocks, finding bushes, whatever they could play with.
Yes.
It's all going to come down to this zone.
Back up a buggy. If they get blessed, it's scripted. There's no way to get blessed again at this point, because that would be absolutely wild. Okay, the zone does leave
the opposite.
Yeah, and 4-1-2, you know, holding that compound are sitting really pretty. This is not a bad circle for K19 because it's pretty close in this next zone, but they're still out of it, and trying to get in this next zone is going to be real tough.
Yep. It's going to help them out, though, because 4-1-2 is a little bit worried about, you know, a team potentially pushing them, which would be NHyper now. So K19 could use that as a third-party potential. We'll see when NHyper makes the play and what NHyper is going to do. NHyper, I think all they have is that one buggy. Yeah, Kindness is going to fire some shots back. Yeah, returning behind cover just in time because, you know, Kindness was not going to miss those.
No, he was not.
They make it into zone, I think, with one player. No, he gets knocked.
Okay,
GK first.
Yeah, and now Kindness is forced to just do full snake play. 4-1-2 is going to soak up some crazy eliminations here. But they got to make sure that they cover their bases in a good way, but not split too much where they allow a team to push up on them. And right now, probably biggest threat for them is K19, so close by, and all by his lonesome. A threat in his own regard. Kindness.
Oh, yeah. The most dangerous man in the lobby right now is this man right here, proning in the wide open. And K19 is pushing, I think. There's a chance. I mean, a very small one. Kindness makes it in.
K19 were able to push 4-1-2 for free?
Okay. I mean, their smoke's down, so
Doesn't
K19
matter. You just pre-fire the smoke. There's only one way they're coming from.
That's true.
4-1-2 dropping the ball. Dropping the ball big time right here. They should have had this defense locked down. K19 was hands down the greatest threat. You focus everybody, but instead they tried to do too much. And just like that, could throw the chicken dinner unless Gunpain can pull off a miracle with his nade. Kindness does get taken off. Is the bank open? It's good.
Yes.
Gunpain, 1v1. Him versus Tuki. Meow.
Tuki. Meow meow. Wrapping around. Hops through the window.
Uh-oh, that
Gonna-
Molotov.
Yeah, he's not going to go for the revive. That's smart. He's got to take this 1v1. I mean, if the other player is going to be super passive, you may as well, but it puts him in a bad spot just like
Pre-fire.
that, and the pre-fire is good.
Got him!
Oh, the choke. Gunpain taking advantage of that. And once again, H is
Lotus.
probably like, I'm safe. Tuki, you better come revive me. That was not the play, however. Here comes Lotus. Garo, it's a 3v1. What are you doing, man?
Gara just
He's out
chilling,
there
saying, hey, y'all got this. You know, it's the last game of the day. I'm chilling. You know, he's probably out there making a sandwich, you know, drinking a Monster Energy. Not a worry in the world. That nade's going
Is
to do
he
it right
still
there.
out there
Yep.
proning? Okay,
Yeah.
he's not.
Beautifully done. Lotus Esports, you know, handed the chicken dinner on a silver platter. Great eliminations there, 4-1-2, but that was a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, I think, you know, 4-1-2 probably should have taken that chicken dinner, but honestly, it was a 3v3 push. One good nade by K19, you know, fluffed it up, but great job to this team for taking advantage of it all and getting the chicken dinner for themselves.
Yeah, I will say that, you know, 4-1-2 does what they're supposed to against K19. There's still a chance that they don't win it, right? There's still a chance that Lotus beats them out, but there would have been a chance, right? That's the thing. That's what we're really harping on right here. The fact that they split a little bit too much allowed K19 to push up in for free, and that just forced them to make a crazy play, Zoo.
Yeah, and more credit to Lotus that took it. They controlled that northeastern side a lot and very well. There was like 4 teams around them, so we didn't see too much of it on screen, but they had to work through a lot. So great job to them. We're going to take it over to the desk to see what they think about it all to wrap things up. That's it for Hot Jukes and I today. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back from the highlights.
Well, there we go. It should have been a K19 win, or at least it looked like it was going to potentially be. But Lotus do clutch it out from the grass of defeat here, get themselves a victory, and themselves some much needed points as well here on the board uneven. What was your takeaway from that game?
No, well, about K19 specifically, I didn't like that last fight by HH24. I don't know if he was playing with his headphones off or what, but he kind of just stood there and got naded. So I don't love that. But one thing I do love, it seems that like these pro players must have been paying attention to my analysis this morning, because everybody was putting a whole lot of resources on that bridge. There was about 4 teams controlling that bridge cross, which is obviously, you know, if you don't have priority into the zone, it's what you want to do. You're not going to get a good position in. Everybody else is ahead of you. Control that bridge, collect those free points, do what you can to get those consistent average points higher. You know, that's the consistent play.
We'll take a look at the match ranking here while we do break that down further, because we were breaking it down at the top of the show, right? Extreme Slayers, they got in for free on the bridge, then they kind of camped the bridge out a little bit, and then eventually rotated back in towards the south side of Military Island. But this time you have MEZEXIS kind of blocking them. Execute was near them, and they're like, nah, we're gonna go down to Primorsk and just rotate into Military instead. And Extreme Slayers just got punched down from that position. But you see here, Lotus 18 points, 412 Nomads. We get some happy people predictions here, get themselves 17 points with their 11 eliminations. And then K19, one of their better games today, getting themselves 13 points.
For sure. Great game from Lotus. You know, it wasn't a free game either. They were playing that hard east edge the whole time, coming in with zone, picking up those elimination points slowly and surely. And then when they saw that opportunity against K19, they didn't really hesitate too much, right? They played aggressive. They finished them off. No, 412, sorry. That last 412 solo, they finished him off. Kind of, you know, I agree with Zute. Kind of a bit of a weird off angle with the guy proning. You know, it's a 3v1. Just get in there, finish it off.
Yeah.
But, you know,
just being cautious, you know.
Yeah,
they want to close out that game, man. They want those points.
no harm, no foul.
We'd be obviously talking completely different if that position actually ended up costing them the game, to be honest. But still,
Yeah.
they close things out. You can see Execute here on 3 points. Extreme Slayers on 3 points. It's been one of their quieter days here. PASSIONFRUIT Esports off the back of a win earlier today get themselves a 0 unfortunately. And Puppeteers, you know, Dong and Co have been extremely quiet today.
Yeah, you know, this was kind of what I was afraid of because, you know, last week we saw a really, really slow start, not a whole lot of points, and then that really explosive ending, and we were kind of getting our hopes up. You know, they were our dark horse, like maybe this is the fuse, that initiation that's gonna light them on fire, and, you know, have them explode into a nice, fast second week start. But it kind of didn't turn out like that, you know, and they're kind of repeating that same slow start that they had in the first week, which makes me think that maybe they kind of just overperformed. You know, they're not giving us a whole lot to show otherwise.
I mean, I see where you're going with the overperforming part, but you know what? I would kind of hold off on my reservations there until we do kick off the second half of the second week when we have our 3 days back-to-back kicking off on Friday. Because I think they're going to take this day off. Again, like, see what they're doing wrong, fix the things. Same with YKG, same with Extreme Slayers, same with maybe Execute. I think they're going to definitely take this day off and, like, really figure things out and definitely bounce back in the next 3 days. If I'm wrong, then, you know, I'll admit to it. But I got hopes. I got hopes for Dong and the rest of Puppeteers. But let's take a look at our overalls and see where Puppeteers and obviously some other teams stand here in our rankings. Now, if we ended off things today after that last match, they'd be in Hyper get themselves 10 points. One thing we haven't mentioned, though, which, you know what? It sprung to my mind here on Even. PMGC qualification points. Hyper and YKG were like 20 points off of each other, if even that. Hyper now have like an 80-point lead over YKG, almost 60-80 point lead over them in the race to PMGC. I mean, we can obviously just talk about YKG not performing this event, and they can have, and this week, and they have more days to show up. But boy, PMGC is what it's all about, and they cannot afford to have bad days if Hyper are having good days.
Absolutely. This is the most important thing. This is what you have to be focusing on if you're YKG and Hyper. And that's why I'm saying, you know, you're kind of giving them some slack, saying, you know, everybody's got bad days, but, you know, Hyper's not having those bad days, right? And you can count on it that they're not going to keep having those bad days in the future as well. So now they're kind of getting that lead, and statistics, you know, like, you're just making it harder and harder and stacking on yourself, because I think, you know, if I'm YKG, the way I think about it is you have to assume that Hyper is going to keep playing well, which means you have to not only play well, but you have to surpass them by an 80-point deficit now. So it's really important we stop dropping this. We fix this problem right away and get that momentum back in track, because right now it's looking scary.
Yeah, if I go back in time to, like, after match 1 when I was talking about, oh, it's fine, it's just, you know, it's like 1 day, it's a couple days here for a bad start for YKG, I would have slapped myself, honestly, because I completely forgot about the race to PMGC, which is what it's all about here this entire year, you know, man. Well, let's see. Obviously, have some time to turn things around. Puppeteers, 32 points. MEZEXIS was another team that was in contention in top 3, but they were still like 100, 200 points behind in Hyper and YKG, so we could almost call them out of the running for this one. Skills of Mine, 9 points. They're definitely, and I don't want to have to say this, but they're definitely proven to be the feeder team so far. Them and Speedfire, and even BULUC CHABTAN has been kind of a feeder team at the moment within this region. Those are, you know, 3 teams that desperately need to step up as well if they want to get into the finals. So you don't want to be bottom 4 at the end of our overalls.
Yeah, and you know, it kind of just has to happen every tournament, right? Like once you get into that position, it's definitely the hardest to get out of, right? When you're in the middle of the pack, you still have hope. You still have, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel potentially, and it's kind of easier to mentally bounce back. But when you're really, really stuck down there, it's hard to get out. Let's see if they can do it though. You know, you never know.
Well, I normally do predictions when I call this, but you know what? We didn't do it yesterday, so I'm not going to put you on the spot now. But our MVP of the day, I don't know if you have any predictors. I'm not going to force you to do it. You could just say, no, I'm not going to predict. You just want to see. Balls in your court.
I got to say maybe an NHP player. I think they played very consistent today. Which one? I couldn't tell you. Kindness tends to perform the
I was going to
best.
say probably Kindness if it's an hyper.
If it's an hyper, let's go Kindness. And then otherwise, I'm not sure. Let's see.
Okay, let's check it out. Who is our MVP of the day? I think it might even be someone from Ace. Okay, it's really Remix still.
Wait, yeah, he had huge games. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
He had one huge game, right? That was the first game of the day that they actually had like a really good performance and a high amount of eliminations. But I felt like
I saw his damage get up there in a couple other games as well, though. I kept seeing his face pop up. Like he has the most nade stats as well. I remember the nade eliminations.
Well, Nate. Okay, well, Nate. The MVP's calculated off damage eliminations. Yeah, exactly. Interesting. You know what? I'm gonna use my handy dandy notebook here and see. It was actually, oh wow, so it was extremely close between him, Remix, at 0.0215, and then you have Freepoint from 412 at 0.0210.
Okay.
So it was insanely close between those two players. Then you also had Blinky Bay from Ace of Spades at number 3. You had Fate from Execute at number 4 for MVP. You had Robert number 5 for Extreme Slayers. So insanely close. It could have come down to literally just one elimination point difference in that calculation.
Yeah. You know, 9 eliminations for an MVP isn't a really huge day. It's slightly above a 2KD. Usually when you've got an MVP of the day and they're on fire and the team's playing well, I think it pushes over 3.
Well, 9 is the most limbs on the day, though. It's been a spread day, I'd say, right? There's no stacking of like one team dominating the day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? Before we do end things off, once again, gotta remind you guys about Monster Energy, our official energy drink partner here at PMPL. You guys can unleash the beast, and as well as social media, where you guys can tweet to us, post on Instagram. Just make sure you use the hashtag PMPLNA. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the show. Maybe you want to break down on Evan's breakdown, or maybe you want to comment on his breakdown. Any feedback is always good feedback, so make sure you guys hit us up, because you have not only the rest of tonight, you have tomorrow as well to get that feedback into us, because we're not going to be back until Friday. So tomorrow we're going to be completely off, but on Friday we're back at the exact same time with the exact same people, and hopefully some even more exciting PUBG Mobile action. We'll see you guys then.
40 HP through the smoke. There's no way he can get this.
Shots.
He throws the grenade, but Bane comes in.
He does it! He does it! He closes